everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. We have a big episode tonight. We have a lot to talk about. We're moving on to Stevie Nicks' third solo album from 1985, Rock a Little. We have some returning members here. We have some newbies. I'm just going to go around the panel and everyone introduce themselves and say where they're from. Alicia.
All right. I am from here in the Carolinas. I became a fan in 2007, and I've seen Stevie 3 times. I would say my favorite record is In Your Dreams.
Cool. Jim.
Record. Hello. I'm from Sweetwater, Tennessee, via Sturgis, South Dakota. So I'm from South Dakota mainly, but I've been down here for quite a while, since 2006. And I've been to a lot of shows. I've been, probably about half dozen of Fleetwood Mac and, half dozen of Stevie, maybe like 4 Fleetwood Mac, about that much of Stevie. Remember that Vegas show where I shook her in both hands?
Aw.
That was pretty cool. I mean, that was worth it right there.
Yeah.
Soft skin.
Her hand was clammy when I touched it. Sorry, Stevie, if you're watching
He's
this.
wearing gloves.
All right, Steve, we have 2. So we have Steve and Steven. Will that work to differentiate?
I'll be Steven.
So so Hunter will be Steve. Steve, where are you from, and tell us about yourself?
I'm from North Carolina. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I've been here for a long time. I've been a fan, I guess, since I was my sister's going to be 60 this month, and before I knew she was, I liked her records. I've probably seen her 35 times between Mirage through 24 Karat Gold, whatever the last Fleetwood Mac tour was. I've met her 4 or 5 times. I worked for her record label for 5 months. And it's funny. I'm glad I hooked up with Rock a Little, because I'm so sick of hearing about rumors. I'm sick of that, everything about that. And I think Rock a Little, the whole end of the Wild Heart tour, which was such a train wreck, which was rehab. I think that's all interesting. I'd like to learn more about really what happened in 84, 85 when this messy record was done.
Yeah, I think we're getting into the meat of Stevie Nicks. Rock a Little on. I'm so excited to just talk about all this stuff. All right, Steven, where are you from? Tell us about your relationship with Stevie.
Right now I'm in Michigan. I've spent most of my adult life in Los Angeles. I've been a Stevie Nicks fan since 1987. A little late to the game, but that's ancient history now. I've seen her a ton of times. I don't know how many. I couldn't tell you what my favorite is.
How about your least favorite? No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't. I've had some controversy on the net. I don't want to go into that.
Oh, I like controversy. This is no one's opinion's wrong on this podcast. So,
well, I had somebody attack me because I wasn't on your show last time you did it.
Really?
They called me a hypocrite and a liar, and I'm like, who is this? And how did they know I was going to be on here?
Well, I've been called worse.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're with us, and you're not a hypocrite or a liar. Roland, how you doing?
I'm from Canada, and I've seen Stevie and Fleetwood Mac 29 times, I'm happy to say. Been a fan since 1982, and I remember when the excitement about Rock a Little coming out and how it was constantly delayed, and the Talk to Me single was delayed, and buying a single, just playing it 100 million times on my record player back then.
Awesome. Justin.
Hey, it's good to be here. I've listened to the last 2 episodes and really enjoyed them. So I became a fan in the early 90s, which was like, as someone was just saying before we started recording, like the worst time to become a fan, because I felt like I had to be like secretive about it, because they were so like Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. You did not tell your friends that you liked them. I started out as a Christine McVie mega fan first, kind of got into Stevie through Christine. And I think it was seeing the Rosebud Rhiannon on VH1, because they used to show that as the video clip for Rhiannon.
Right.
That I was like, oh my, I'm sold. Like, who is that? She's incredible. And so there was no looking back from then on.
So would you join us for Christine McVie's solo album discussions?
Absolutely.
Because all 3 of her solo albums Perfect, McVie, and then In the Meantime, I freaking love all of them. Like I love Chris.
Absolutely.
My second,
I know.
my second
And she-
car was the Christine McVehicle. Just so
Oh,
everybody.
I love that. That's awesome.
All right,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
we have Nathan.
I'm here too. Hey, everybody. I'm Nathan. I'm from Portland, and I've been a fan since about 2004, roughly. So nice to be here.
All right, so it was Christmas 1985. I was at my grandma Subkuski's house, and I saw that there was a. You can tell what a present is before you unwrap it. I saw there was a record under the tree for me, and my cousin Kevin bought me Rock a Little on vinyl. I would have been 10 years old. I was a big Stevie Nicks fan. I had Wild Heart and Belladonna on vinyl, and I was so excited because I knew Talk to Me. That was the first single that was on MTV. It was a little bit different of a song for Stevie. She sounded a little different. She looked a little different. And I went home and I put on, and that was back in the day before you heard all the songs on the album. Like the only thing you knew was the first single. So I went home and I put on the album. Jim, you have it in the background on your wall. Here it is.
Yep.
The Belladonna album cover had the nice blue tones. The Wild Heart had the nice purple. And now we have this. I saw this. I'm like, well, this is a little different.
The crowd.
This is a little different. The back cover was, of course, this picture, which I do like that picture.
That's iconic. I
Yeah.
love that picture.
So I went home. I put on the record. I had my little Fisher Price record player. And the first song is I Can't Wait. And if you remember right, I don't know whose first single was out, but Stevie Nicks had I Can't Wait the same time New Shoes had their hit single I Can't Wait. So they're both kind of on the radio around the
I
same
remember
time.
that.
And obviously Stevie's song was much better.
New Shoes when
I don't know the other.
It's kind of like a freestyle pop song, but it's clearly that we're into a different Stevie Nicks. This isn't Belladonna anymore here.
No, this
We have some serious synthesizer, some drums, synthesizer drums.
Well,
And when the Time Space Greatest Hits came out, that was the first time, because this was before the internet, you got to really learn a lot more about Stevie Nicks' songs. So in the Time Space liner notes, she said that she went in and just didn't she say she just did the vocals one time for I Can't Wait, and she walked in and that was it? So let's go around the circle. Who wants to raise their hand first and talk about the first time they heard this damn new Stevie Nicks album? I played it, I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? All right, Steve.
I was so excited, and I think Stevie really got me in the summer of '83, and then it seemed like an eternity from the time the Wild Heart wrapped up to Rock Little finally came out. And I just want to add this one little thing. I'll try to be brief, but I think this is interesting about the industry. Stevie Nicks and Pat Benatar were kind of the hot babes of early '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And right when Wild Heart was like Nightbird, the last single, Holiday from Madonna was a hit. And Madonna became huge. Tina Turner became huge. Cyndi Lauper became huge. And they had albums that all really kind of eclipsed Belladonna's sales and the Wild Heart sales. And it was I was thinking Stevie's got a lot of heat on her for this next solo album to come out to compete with those younger girls and do as well as they did. And I could not get over it. It took so long to come out. And when Talk to Me came out, I remember I would have my radio on. I remember a couple of times that I could be asleep at night. If it came on at 2:00, it would wake me up. I was that bad a fan. Like, ooh, it was like, woke me out of sleep. And I remember calling the radio station trying to get him to play it, worried it wasn't going to do well. And when the album came out, it was by far number 3 for me of those solo albums. I was not, after that long wait, I didn't think it was great. I liked it, and I like it now, but I was disappointed.
Yeah, this definitely wasn't, because, I feel like Wild Heart was an extension of Belladonna. This certainly is no extension of Wild Heart.
And she didn't write Talk to Me, and she didn't write Some Become Stranger. To me, you could tell things were unwinding.
Wasn't Talk to Me written by the same gentleman that wrote Missing You?
Yep.
Stanford.
Yeah. All right, who wants to go next and talk a little bit about I Can't Wait? I know everyone's got something to say.
Okay. Can't wait.
Jim, any thoughts?
Yes. I was looking up something. Well, okay. Actually, I heard the album and it was played on a radio station, all the way through, like one commercial that, to flip it over. And I identified, or I just picked up on two of the songs. It was the slow ones. Has anyone written anything for you? And the other one, where is this?
I sing for the things.
Sing for the Things, yes.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of brought me to tears because that's kind of our normal style through Fleetwood Mac. It's recognizable. But the others is like at the end of the record, it was kind of sad. I said, "Huh, this is it." And it wasn't a bad thing. It was such a departure. It was a real departure from her earlier stuff. Like David Bowie would chameleonize, but stay true to himself. And Stevie went that direction too. Sure. And this is an R&B pop record. And, it's, and I've listened yesterday and I was singing on it. Yeah, I wrote in my notes here that her voice changed a lot, but I think that was a bit intentional. There's a lot more intricacy, in it. And it's a change. The way I don't know, she may just, decide I'm going this way and I'm going to sing like this. And it took a while to get kind of accustomed to that. And I played it yesterday and I loved it. It was very enjoyable. It was, it's, like a lot of this stuff is, it's 80s music, but it's not really dated. It sounds real good yet.
I feel like, cause she, she's obviously not hitting the high notes from Rhiannon anymore. The album version. I feel like we didn't hear those high notes again till maybe Sorcerer and Trouble in Shangri-La. But
yeah, just
her voice is definitely different in this album. Nathan,
who needs the high notes when you have those kind of live performances, right? I would argue. I think it's a great song. The things that stick out to me to it are the Waddy Wattel guitars. They really just remind me of buzz saws on that. Every time I listen to it, I feel like I'm in wood shop or something. I wonder who the subject is of the song. Who's the presumably male person who she's writing about in that is one thing I wonder. And the question that I would throw out to the group, she talks a lot about how, well, we only did it once. We did it once and you just can't ever get that vocal again. Yeah. Did she do it once in the studio or did she do it once at 4 a.m. in her bathroom? And that's maybe the vocal we hear. I mean, is that possible or is it too far-fetched to be?
I think during Rock a Little era, anything goes. Okay, Justin, you are next, and then Roland will be after you.
Yeah, so first of all, just this album overall, I didn't love it when I first heard it. However, over the years, I've noticed it's the one I go back to the most. And I think it's because it's kind of crazy and it has like a very positive energy to it. So like, I think her other albums tend to be like darker. Mm-hmm. And you really have to be in the mood to be like in the suffering Stevie. You have to be in that mode to like want to be in the sort of like, oh, life is hard and, it's hard to be Stevie Nicks. With this album, I feel like it's just very light and crazy and fun. So it's funny, like I listened to it probably more than any of the others, even though it's not like my favorite. But I Can't Wait is such a great example of that. I feel like craziness and positive energy of this album for me. And I think my favorite part is the breakdown.
Oh yeah.
Which is, she does like a crazy scream, which I live for, crazy Stevie screams.
What about her scream in the video where she's like,
yeah, and that's the part that David Letterman famously parodied, I think, right, on his show, where she's like breaking through the brick wall and stuff. And that part is just amazing. I love it. And
fucking Mick Fleetwood on the steps.
And I'm really curious, like, to hear what others think those computerized voices are saying. I've heard it's like, how will you feel 20 years from now?
That's what I thought it was.
Which is probably the most plausible thing I've heard. But anyway, that's my favorite part of that song.
All right, so we're doing Roland, then Alicia, then Nathan. Those are the order. Okay, Roland.
I think it's a great opening track, and it was a great single for 85, 86, but it has not aged well, I think. And it's actually the album I least listened to because it just hasn't aged well. And a lot of the songs like Talk to Me and I Can't Wait, they're not radio staples. I don't think you really hear them anymore. And she doesn't do them live, so they're kind of forgotten tracks. I think I Can't Wait, she's done that on stage, and she just dropped it because she said it was too confusing.
It did work.
She loses her place. And I think there's more than one vocal she did because there were remixes that came out at the time.
Yeah.
So, that's just nonsense about one vocal. I did it once and that was it.
That's unfortunate that it didn't work because that's a great song.
I know.
I would love to hear it live. I wish we had really good, pristine copies of it live. It shows. It was a great, great song. I think it's a missed opportunity. I think it's one of her better songs too.
Yeah. Alicia.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. Rock a Little is kind of a record that I feel like it's a contradiction. It's the record I can listen to all the way through, but I think half of the record is forgettable. It's very, very 80s. So me picking it up in the late 2000s, early 2010s, it was just very dated. But it's Stevie being so, I guess she's so willing to sell it. She was so into it that it's actually good. Can I say it's so 80s, it's good? But I Can't Wait is, I think, one of her best songs. It's sad that she doesn't perform it live. I think she said that you just basically, everybody should get off the stage because it's a drum track song and maybe play some synthesizer or something. But I enjoy it. I have to always repeat I Can't Wait. And but yeah. So.
All right, Nathan, let's go back to you. I saw you had your hand up.
I didn't, but
okay.
I would just add that I love the dance that she does in that. I would alter my earlier comment to say, who needs the high notes when you have the
high hair?
Well, let's mention the hair, but the dance mainly.
Let's talk about Stevie's hair during this era. I mean, boom. And it wasn't that natural blonde. I mean, I think there was some bleach involved somewhere in here. Does anyone else want to throw out some final thoughts? We'll have the lightning round where everyone can throw out any final thoughts on I Can't Wait.
I can't wait.
I want to talk about the video one more time. I mean, she's in a room banging down the
wall. Well, it was a start of her association co-writing with Rick Nowels.
Oh,
yeah.
Who was a figure predominantly in her other songs over the years.
And he went on to write with Madonna, Ray of Light, and Lana Del Rey, whose new album is
Belinda Carlisle.
Belinda Carlisle. How can I forget Belinda?
Oh, love Belinda.
Yeah, we're doing Belinda Phonogenics in the future. And let's not forget the part of the video where her cleavage comes out and she's like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh.
My favorite.
My dad loved that.
My favorite part of the video is that she clearly doesn't know what she's saying. And at certain points, like her lip syncing is just like completely not related to what is in the music track at all. And it's like, oh, she doesn't even know what she was singing in certain parts.
She did an interview where she said she as quote, she said, "Could you just lay off the cocaine?" And she said her eyes were swimming. That's what she said. And I don't know what, it's an interview. I couldn't find it this week, but that's what she said about I Can't Wait.
I don't think we can really talk about Rock a Little without mentioning cocaine. I mean,
yeah. Oh, it's sad, really. It it could have been her last record. Really.
Steve.
It was.
Oh, sorry, Jim. I didn't mean to cut you off. Steve, you had your hand up?
Is Jim finished? He's not finished, I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. I'm so sorry. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
I just want to say, since I was older and was around for that, I don't want to come off like, gosh, that guy loves her, be so negative. Rock a Little to me was just I saw that tour, and you're gonna laugh. I actually wrote her. I was 17 or so. I wrote her mom and dad a letter, like on notebook paper, like she's messed up. she's horrible. I mean, to see the Wild Heart, which I know she was kind of messed up then too, but she still looked good, and I was too dumb to know that she didn't sound that great. From Wild Heart to Rock Little was just if you look at the Belladonna Edge of 17 was taped in December of 81, and then you look at Red Rocks August of 86, to see that demise from 81 to 86 is heartbreaking. And that album just was one big sad. She's gonna be on the headline of the news the next day. Stevie Nicks died in the hotel room.
No,
that's really what I thought. And actually, I can't believe this is on YouTube. If any of my friends see this, it's gonna be bad news for me. But I actually sent her flowers in Betty Ford.
Oh,
I was so excited that she went to Betty Ford. It was like November of 86. I was in UNC.
that's sweet.
And I was like, okay, she's gonna live. She's not gonna die.
And she's still with us. Steven, I saw your hand up.
I think she's talked about flowers and things that she received from fans in that time.
I sent one of them.
Aw.
I was gonna say, I've seen some footage from the Wild Heart tour, and that seems a little bit worse than the Rock a Little tour to me. Have any of you seen that live to tell the difference? Or there's no full length movie from her second world tour.
Steve, you saw that before?
The Elaine video.
I know that Largo, Maryland video that was taped professionally, but it wasn't shot well, and I think they scrapped it.
Too dark.
Red Rocks was also fake. I mean, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Largo didn't look good or sound good. I still think the Wild Heart tour overall she was in more control than she was on Rock a Little.
Can we talk a little bit about
available on it? I was kind of confused by that because it seemed like it was worse. And
I want to talk about the Rock a Little ad lib.
Oh, you talking about
during the tour?
retake?
She ad libbed every song like, well, yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. All right. So we'll move on to the next time. We'll do the hands again. Then at the end, we'll just do an open discussion, free for all. Does that seem to work? That seems like a good plan, doesn't it? All right. So Belladonna, epic song. Wild Heart, epic song. I was like, all right, what's Stevie going to serve us for the title track this time? And we have Rock a Little, Go Ahead Lily, Hit It. What a weird... This is not another... We did not get another Belladonna or Wild Heart. I like this song, but it's weird as hell. It's very minor key. I feel like she doesn't have a song like this anywhere in her catalog. The only song by any artist I can think of that sounds like this is Annie Christian by Prince. I don't know if anyone knows that song, but just like a weird, eerie, minor key, weird ass song. Now, before we go into the song, wasn't the original working title for the album going to be Mirror, Mirror?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've heard conflicting reports that there was a track listing and there wasn't. So I guess it's up to urban legend. Who knows if there actually was? I know there were a lot of songs that didn't make the final cut that she recorded, which we will, of course, have to talk about the demos and the outtakes after we get through the album proper. But who wants to dig into Rock a Little first? Roland.
I don't think it's a strong title track compared to, let's say, Belladonna, Wild Heart. It's kind of up there with the boring Street Angel title track as well. And the Rock a Little thing ties in with the other photos that she took for the album. You guys might have seen that with the cradle and the rocking chair, and that might have been alternate covers for the album. I'm sure you guys know about those covers, those pictures.
I've seen them. I think she went with the right choice.
I think she did. I like the cover. It's plain, it's simple, it's for the time.
That look on her face is kind of like, I don't know though.
It's a good simple cover. I like it.
Because in Stevie's work we had Rhiannon, we had Sarah. Is Lily really in the same league as Sarah? Like, I don't think so. I don't think Lily from Rock a Little was quite as popular as a girl. Roland.
And I think Lily was Lillian Hellman from the Julia whole the playwright Lillian Hellman.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So because Stevie considered herself the Julia character. If you see the movie called Julia with Vanessa Redgrave, you can understand it. So Lily, whoever, was Lillian Hellman.
And didn't she say the song like she lived on the ocean and it was rocking the house? The foundation of the house was rocking. All right, who wants to go next? Jim.
Yes. It's really like a spacey song. You know, it's just really out there. But it's a few years back, I didn't particularly like it, but then I heard a longer version, and it's fresh, and I sort of got it then. It's
And
just like, yeah.
The girls sing back up on the longer version, right? There's more Lori.
Yeah. There's some real good longer versions, maybe like a minute or two longer, and she plays it out, and she goes ooh ooh something, you know, and plays it out, and it's very very sweet and very Stevie like. It was good, and I really like that deep bass part on.
There's like almost a clavinet in it in the song.
Yeah, whatever, you know, but it doesn't live up, you know, to Wild Heart and Belladonna as songs, but you know, it's part of history. I think it's, you know, it's stood up the test of time. I mean, it's quite unique, you know. It's rock a little, you know.
It is definitely rock a little. And the thing is, like with I Can't Wait, like she was rocking the vocals, but in this song, you really hear how Stevie's vocals, because sometimes it rages. Like she's like croaking out those first lines, and it kind of works for the context of like the weirdness of the song. But yeah, I know more people have thoughts on.
I mean, he wrote it. She wrote it in '82. It was written before the Wild Heart and Bella, and it found its place out here in the mid '80s. So
cool. All right, Steve.
For me, from all the way from Buckingham Nicks up to Rock a Little, there was not one song of hers I didn't like. Maybe Gate and Garden was a little, but I liked it. Rock a Little to me is just like a drugged out chick who's babbling. And sorry, Stevie, for watching. I spent a lot of money on you, but I just got to be honest. I just think it sums up where she was.
Yeah. Nathan.
I agree. It does sum up where she was, and I think that's one of the things, because I do like this song, that I especially appreciated about it is that it's really a statement, I think, of where she was at the time, and even just the fact that maybe a year before, we have those living room demos of she and Mick Fleetwood and some other people working it out on pianos and drums. If you guys have heard that as the piano demo, I think it's much nicer as a piano demo than it turned out to be on the record. But even the fact that it pivoted like that and changed so sharply into what we see here on the record, I think even that is emblematic of all the changes and the really quick decisions that she was making at the time. You know, they only recorded it in how many different studios, you know what I'm saying? So I really like it because it's a statement of where I think she was at the time, and it really expresses that fairly well, a drugged out chick, to use somebody else's language. I think it's great. The only thing I don't like about it that I'll say detracts a little for me is that it's not the opening track. I really like when she had Belladonna and Wild Heart as track one, Trouble in Shangri-La, and she should have done that Within Your Dreams too. So that's my one complaint, is they should have changed the running order.
I love when Stevie starts with the title track. Absolutely. You know what I do like about this song is that weird ass fade out. What is it? This is how songs are written, stories are told, rumors are started. That's pretty cool. All right, Alicia, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's I remember hearing this song. I had chanted before I bought this record.
Okay.
So I really liked this song. It kind of fits better with all of her other, like, can I say, like, the real instrumentation songs? It doesn't have that real 80s synthesizer stuff. She actually pulled out the guitars for this one.
There's definitely some waddy.
Yes. So because of that, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, I think, with the rest of the songs in this group. I like it because, much like Nathan, I think it makes a statement. I think she was talking about, I think a lot of rumors were starting, a lot of things were going on, and those lyrics always kind of catch my attention when I'm listening to this, that you mentioned. It's one of my favorite tracks on the record. The guitar is good. So the rest of this record, it's kind of like I go downhill after the first 3 or 4 songs, and then I like Has Anyone Written Anything for You? But this, I think, is a good song.
She's never done it live, right? Ever.
I haven't heard about it.
Can you imagine if she opened her next tour with Rock Little? Wouldn't that be crazy?
It would be really cool. It'd be different.
I could see her like coming out on the stage, like the intro's
They can
extended.
pull it off.
She's only done 4 songs off that album live.
So I can't wait. Talk to me. Has anyone ever written anything for you?
And
And
no spoken word.
No spoken word.
yeah, no spoken.
On
word.
my
She did say in an interview where she wanted to do a medley of songs like Wild Heart, Belladonna, and she included Rock, but she never, she did not do that on 24 Karat.
Wise choice.
All right. Does anyone else have any thoughts on the song? I know everyone hasn't spoken. Any thoughts? Justin. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this one, but I do like it. I think I tend to like Stevie's softer side, and I like when she's mysterious and kind of creepy. Like, I think that's what originally drew me to her. And for me, this song, of any of the songs on the album, kind of catches that vibe. A lot of the other songs are like very extroverted, very 80s. This one is a little more secret, Stevie whispering in your ear. And I always love that. And I love the bass line. I think somebody else mentioned the bass.
Yeah, that is a hot bass
love
line.
it. It's beautiful.
This is a fun song to sing along to in the car. It's
Yeah.
about time. Does anyone else have any thoughts on Rock Little? Go ahead and jump in.
Stevie's done talked about in an interview that it was like, it was that druggy period, and her dad was trying to get her up, and a voice in her side said, Lily, you got to get up and go up there and perform. She said
Hit the
that
stage.
It hit the stage, yeah.
Cool. All right. Anybody else before we move on from Lily? All right. Well, you're playing the album, and the next thing you hear is, "All right, baby." So, I read somewhere once that Sister Honey is a metaphor for female parts, and I never was able to listen to the song again the same way.
Someone said that about Gate and Garden.
I'm
About
not
the
gonna.
female secret part.
Well, Stevie thinks that you're gonna like Sister Honey. She says that in the first lines. Do you all like Sister Honey? Who wants to go first?
No.
No? So we have a no.
Filler.
So when Stevie asks, "Can we still be friends?" the answer is not always yes. When it comes to
She said in an interview where she was fooling around with Les Dudek on guitar, and she said, "Oh, all right, baby," and then that became part of the song, and just an exclamation. That's how deep.
How about this for a concert opener? She just runs out on the stage. All right, baby. No, I'm all about that. If she had like teased her hair back up and just
It'd be fresh.
it'd be fresh.
That's
Okay.
for sure.
Justin, do you have your hand up?
Yes. Yeah, for me, I like this song. To me, it's like Stevie trying to be Prince.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Stevie trying to be funky.
Prince.
I think it's fun. And there's a really kind of crazy and whacked out video on YouTube, or it used to be on YouTube, where she's explaining the song. And I think Sister Honey was a character in her like personal mythology. She had a drawing of Sister Honey.
Oh yeah.
She was, like, very serious about Sister Honey. And that made me like
They're sitting across the same stained glass table, right?
exactly. So yeah, I like it. It's fun. It makes me feel good.
I'm a big like pop fan. Like, I love Madonna and even up to Mariah and stuff. So I love this is like the poppiest 80s Stevie Nicks album. I'm on board. Like, sign me up for that. I wish we kind of had a little bit more of that than we got. Okay, who wants to go next? Talk about our friend Sister Honey. Okay, Steve.
A huge departure for her. I thought it was a great song. In fact, has anyone ever written was the third single? I'm like, that's not going to be on the radio. Sister Honey could be on the radio. And I thought it was a fun, catchy song that was just lighthearted and fun.
Yeah. All right, Jim.
Yes, it's a very Prince sounding track.
And wasn't she hanging out with Prince around this time?
Well, it's it's the '80s, and Prince was just killing it. And she was involved with Prince, so just have another Prince track. I've heard this on the radio, my local radio station. I think the DJ was kind of begrudgingly, well, here's Sister Honey, kind of the week something else, but they played it some, and let's see, it's a fun song. It's very playful, like Les Dudek. Yeah, in the interview I'd listen, and Les Dudek was playing a riff, and then she just started singing along with it, and that's kind of how that one started.
Nathan, do you have some thoughts?
I think it's my favorite one on the album. I really like this song, and I won't say a whole lot about it, except that I think this one is kind of about drugs a little bit, or at least drugs are worth mentioning relative to this song. The line about fast like a jet plane and so on and so forth sounds pretty indicative to me. So that's what I would say. One of my favorites, so I really like it.
Steve.
That's fun. When it's funny you said it's about drugs. Have you ever noticed? I thought the same thing. There's one line where it's the word is ride. I swear she says line. I can't.
Well,
remember.
Even ride would be a little suggestive, huh?
That's what I'm saying. I was like, is this a line of coke? She's sort of teasing in there, and it says ride in the lyric. But if you listen to the song, it says that I can't remember the lyric, but I swear it sounds like she's saying line.
What do people really do sitting across a stained glass table?
Line to glory. Yeah, that's it.
What was the line?
I think there's a lot of. I just want to add one thing, if you don't mind, Jeremy.
Yeah.
That is, I think there's a lot of drug references in these songs that maybe aren't right there on the surface, and that probably goes without saying because of who it is, and we've all seen the behind the music. But even just in ways that you don't think about, like I can think of the outfit that she wore on the Mirage tour, the white thing, and if you look at that pretty close, it looks pretty close to evidential pictures that I have seen of particular substances. It's like I'm looking at the dress and I'm going, is your dress made of cocaine? Because that's what it looks like. Do you guys know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
sure was pretty though.
Well, listen to this line, you guys. I never really listened to the song in that context because this album came out when I was 10, so I never listened to it with the information we have now. But the line, "Come back, stranger, it's your last chance. She's almost gone now." Like when you think that in context, like, damn, that's kind of sad. You know what I mean? Like this. I
think it is too.
This conversation's like, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this after we talk because I have a whole new context for this. My goodness. Y'all are making me think here. Strange fascination, some kind of temptation. Drugs, for sure.
Well, yeah.
Well, it could be a lot of things, too, in her world. Fame, fortune.
Yeah.
Never having allowed yourself. Do you understand the word pleasure?
Yeah.
I never thought of Sister Honey as a damn deep song. This is deep.
I don't think it's entirely, just to be clear, I don't think it's totally a statement on drugs or anything,
right.
but I definitely think it's a lot deeper than meets the ear.
Nathan, to go back to what you said about who I Can't Wait is about, I feel like every song in this album is about Joe Walsh.
I think you're onto it there.
Roland.
I think the part about her disappearing, like a jet stream on an airplane, it's just, I got the idea was her just, going on tour and leaving her man behind, like she says in Bellflower.
Okay.
I don't see it as that deep, but who knows? And I think the lyrics might come across as deeper had the music been different, had it been not as funky and fun.
The synthesized hand claps.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk more about this when I suspect we probably have to move on, but Roland, I would just say, whisper in the words one more time, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess maybe those are the words you whisper when you're about ready to go do another show or something. I don't know. But yes, it could be. What do I know? You make a good point. It could just be about that particular lifestyle. Yes.
Yeah. Alicia.
Well, I love Sister Honey. I always have to sing along to it. And I always like that sister at the first part there.
Sister.
Yes. But since Nathan was talking about it, I had my little booklet out looking at it. And it does say that golden hair don't get in your way. That kind of harks back to,
Golden Braid.
Golden Braid.
yeah, Golden Braid. Thank you. I was thinking Belladonna 81. So I wonder if those songs are somehow connected as well. Since
It's
you made me
interesting
handle-
that even in this glossiest Stevie Nicks album, the thread of all her storytelling and her
Yeah, that's what makes her.
mythology is there.
Maybe the golden hair gets in your way when you're hanging your head over a plate for extended periods of time.
Over the stained glass table.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Jeremy, does it work if I share my screen? Is that something I can do?
Yeah, I think so. If not, I can give you
Because
permission.
I found the clip that I was thinking of from the interview. If you guys want to see a picture of Sister Honey,
Yeah.
Okay, I
okay.
watched it the other day.
Of the
Okay, so
painting?
let's see. Oh, I think you disabled the screen sharing.
If I make you a co-host, I think you can.
It's kind of like the Rihanna drawing.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the Rihanna drawing. Yeah.
Yeah, from the '85 MTV interview.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, can you now? I made you a co-host, so you might be able to.
She wearing like a black and white jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, Stephanie. That's Sister Honey.
There's Sister Honey. Wow. Look at that hair. Cool.
I love her look there.
I love it too.
It's better than the
Faces
one in
are
Red
lovely.
Rocks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the hair was only a foot high there instead of we get to 3 feet by the time we get to Red Rock.
If you look at that right there, that's May, I think, of '85. If you think about, if you put
Oh.
up side by side August of '86, shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocking is not too strong a word.
Aw, Stevie,
Oh,
we love
oh.
you.
Can
Yeah.
I say
So there
something
you
real
go.
quick? I'm sorry, can I say something funny?
Yeah, of course.
You see that picture? Don't take that the YouTube screen. But the picture of Stevie talking to Lara Spencer, the blonde with the white shirt on.
Yeah.
I'm right behind them,
Oh, really?
right there. Yeah, that's a Good
awesome.
Morning America Friday concert.
Oh.
I've got a good picture with me and her right there.
Okay. Anyway, so there you go.
I'll have to check that out.
Any thoughts on Sister Honey before we move on? All right, so I Sing for the Things. We had a demo of it on the Wild Heart. And I remember reading somewhere that people felt the original version sounded like the Bangles. But then she went for a more ballad version on Rock a Little, which I think was 100% the right choice. I like the slower Rock a Little version of I Sing for the Things.
Yes.
Who wants to jump in first about this one? Okay, Roland. Then Jim. We'll go Roland, then Jim. Oh, you're muted, Roland.
Is it because we went to a screen?
I remember reading the Rolling Stone review for this record, and they gave her a terrible review, and they gave a very bad review for this song in particular, saying it was anti-feminist.
Really?
And how she would take down her hair for you and take off her cape for you. I like the song. It's one of my favorites from the album.
I feel her vocals very tattered on this one.
Mm.
You say you have everything. It's a little goaty, and I don't think it's Stevie Nicks that way, but on this one, it actually is a little bit. I love this song though.
What was that word?
You remember on South Park how they had the goat?
Goaty. Okay.
I feel like this is the one song in her catalog. Maybe. Okay, Jim, take it away from me because I'm talking too much.
Okay. It's a very personal song. It's, the depths of, what she is. I sing for the things that money can't buy. I mean, that's her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real. I mean, that's great. And that's why I identified with that initiative right off the bat. It was great. I just loved it. And it has more of the core band of her life, people on this, so it's kind of like, they understood and they went with her and did this. It's very good. It's very personal. It comes after a pop song, and it breaks up. It's a slow song between two pretty, fast poppy up songs. It's Stevie. I mean, she could do this for nothing. I mean, she'd do, Lana Del Rey. I think if she was in the right era, she would be superstar, super rich, and she's very talented.
Mm-hmm.
And she should be eventually in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Lana Del Rey, great writer, great singer, whole thing. Great.
Her last album was brilliant.
Good life. She's it. And in this era, you can't, she just play shows, and it has to be certain areas where she can draw a few people. And this is COVID era, but I'm kind of comparing different eras, but Stevie would do that for, or like, what's her name? That country singer, but she's kind of alternative.
Kelly Clarkson?
Louisiana.
Oh.
Miranda Lambert?
No, she's car wheels on a gravel road. That's
Lucinda Williams.
Lucinda, yeah, Lucinda's she's not, rolling in it, and she's won a Grammy. She's won first, so she's great, and she's not exactly rolling. She's a great writer, and Stevie would do that. She just happened to, make a little bit more money at this.
She was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Stevie would do what these other artists do.
It's interesting. This song was produced by Jimmy Iovine. How do you pronounce his name? Iovine. And didn't he start producing this album, but then they kind of had a falling out?
Yes.
So it's interesting that this song does kind of have more of the classic Stevie Nicks sound because of who produced it. And the opening line, "I'm living on dreams and chains," obviously that has to be a Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, it's a reference. Kind of in an interview mentioned that. Kind of referred to that, yes.
I think that she has a lot of like really kind of ragged vocal performances from this era, but they're very heartfelt. You know what I mean? And no disrespect by me saying that. Like her vocal on this one, and then what is that one from Tangled Night? Will I See You Again? Like she's just kind of like really, what's the word? Just fragile. It's almost like it's
raw.
Raw, yeah. Okay, other thoughts on I Sing for the Things? Steve.
Sorry to be a differing opinion here. There are 3 songs by her I don't like: "Rock a Little," "I Sing for the Things," and "When I See You Again." I don't like that. And like I think Rolling Stone also said, "I Sing for the Things" sounds like curdled milk. And I think the song itself is a good song. I think the instrumentation is boring, and I think her vocal is. I think that to me, for me, "Rock a Little" and "I Sing for the Things" are her first 2 kind of not catchy radio hit, but like non-melodic or the treatment. And I don't like the way "I Can't Wait" is this big orchestration that goes into this really slow kind of odd song, into this funky R&B song, into this kind of country-esque song that I felt like it's disjointed and I'm not a fan of that song. Not a fan of that version of that song.
Sure. So you like the demo version, the rockier one?
Yeah, but the Bangle, kind of the Manic Monday with the little piano.
Yeah.
I like that better. I think her vocal. I don't like her. I don't like her. I'm not going to imitate her. I don't like the vocal.
Nathan. Oh, you're on mute. I think we all got muted when we did the share screen.
I mostly agree. I really like the song too, but for me, what I don't like about it is the production. I think if they had stuck with a more Wild Heart, it stuck more closely to the Wild Heart treatment that they gave it, that it would really hang better with the rest of the first half with side 1. Not that I ever heard it on record, but
it's a really raw vocal though. I'm surprised, like at the playback, Stevie's like, "Oh, let's go with that one." You know what I mean? Alicia, I see you got the hand up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like the song, I like it slow. I think because this is, to me, a very introspective song. To me, it's like a mission statement for her career. This is what she's willing to do, what she's wanting to do. I think it's pretty honest from her. Vocally, I think she's tired and destroyed because she did all the coke and the drugs, and it's finally caught up with her when it came to recording this record.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
I love it.
well, I also wonder, because I wasn't born yet when this came out, but with 81, it sounded like she almost was willing to push off the partying and everything. And then it kind of seemed like, oh, well, that worked. And then Wild Heart, it seemed to creep in. This one, I wonder if she recorded this song after spending all night party harding. I mean, it seems
Sounds like it.
She was up in her bathroom with her Polaroid all night.
Maybe. I mean,
taking herself.
This era it almost seemed like she really didn't care. So it's very interesting that she would pick this song as well.
Right.
Is it her trying to refocus into a career that she's kind of tired? Because she was doing a lot of tour album, and you don't realize that until you start looking at Fleetwood Mac and her solo career. I mean, she was really got off of Tusk, turned around, did Belladonna, turned around, did
Mirage,
Mirage, Wild Heart. I mean, it really starts showing. But I wish this was more maybe a piano with a guitar with maybe a better vocal. But yeah, it's
interesting because there's no Fleetwood Mac album between Wild Heart and Rock Little. So I thought Fleetwood Mac was done. At that, I remember oh, we'll never get a Fleet. So then when they came out with Tango in the Night, I was like, holy crap, Fleetwood Mac's back. And that's a different discussion.
Wasn't there?
It's interesting. We had two Stevie. Steve.
I can't remember. First of all, I'm sorry. What is your name?
Mine?
Alicia?
The woman? The girl?
Alicia.
You're making me feel so old. I remember taking my dad's truck to Trent's Record Center in Reidsville, North Carolina to get Rock a Little. The day it came out, November something, 85. And you were
So did I.
But I've often thought, I don't know if Stevie's last Wild Heart thing was Saturday Night Live or Solid Gold, but it was one of those. I've often wished, I've really thought about this. I wish her management or she could have decided, I'm going to go into rehab January of 84 and start Rock a Little cleaned up and healthier than just that train keep going. And I think that's what also got delayed. And I think her drugs, I think Jimmy was like, God, I love you and you're talented and you're great, but you're a mess. And I'm not going to spend a year and a half redoing these songs. And again, I don't know that to be true, but I think there's probably some truth in that.
And let's talk about the font, the crystal ball, Rock a Little inside of a crystal ball. Any other thoughts on I Sing for the Things? Oh, Justin.
Yeah, I like this song. I'm a bigger fan of the version that's on the Wild Heart. So the
Bengals version?
deluxe. Yeah, I love that one. It's just so much more upbeat. I think this is a classic Stevie song that you could tell she wrote on the piano because it has that little do 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 riff.
Right.
Which is a very she does that a lot, I feel in her writing on the piano, where she'll just come up with this little kind of filler melody that I think is really beautiful. It's occurring to me as we're talking that a lot of the songs that are on this record, especially the ones she wrote by herself, that are on this record date from years before. So that pattern that we've really seen ever since of her kind of digging into the vaults kind of feels like it starts with this record.
Right.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Because on Wild Heart, everything was kind of current to that album, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else on I Sing for the Things? All right. Well, I realize I made a mistake. The stained glass table is actually in the Imperial Hotel, not in Sister Honey. So my bad.
Oops.
You got the Imperial?
My bad. Well, that table made its way around just like the blue lamp did. So let's not.
Embarrassing, Jeremy.
I know. Well, here comes another thumbs down on my YouTube channel. Speaking of embarrassing, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jeremy Gloff from Tampa, Florida. My Patreon's patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff. If anyone wants to throw $1 or $2 my way.
What's your OnlyFans?
I do. If I had an OnlyFans, people would be sending me money. Put it back on, please. All right, Imperial Hotel. Was this her first co-write with Michael Campbell?
Probably.
Be released, probably.
Right, and well, yeah, the first to be released, and this was a partnership that even lasted all the way through to the last Fleetwood Mac tour. All right, what does everyone think of Imperial Hotel?
It sounds very different from the rest of the album. It's a heartbreaker sounding song, and it's actually a song that's it's not dated sounding, and it could have been on Wild Heart, I feel.
Okay.
It was written in 5.
I think it's a fun, upbeat song. I like it.
I like to sing to it in the car all the time. So not that I sound good, but it's definitely catchy.
And I think the quintessential rock little moment is in the song where she goes, and he says, baby, 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 baby. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the words. What do you think the song was about?
This is the path we have chosen.
Yeah, this is the path. Is there actually an Imperial Hotel, or was it a fictional?
I believe it's fictional.
Would you rather stay in Hotel California or Imperial Hotel? I bet Imperial Hotel was more fun.
But Hotel California, you can't leave.
That's true.
What's the breakfast like in each one? Get a rundown on that.
Rather hang with Stevie than the other group.
Which has Wi-Fi?
I don't want to think of what's on the buffet at the Imperial Hotel from 1980.
Sister Honey.
Sister Honey. Sister Honeydew. All right. Nathan and Justin, you guys both have your hands up. Does anyone have any thoughts?
Justin, go ahead.
This was actually my favorite song on the record the first time I heard it. I think because it is a little poppier, and at that time I hadn't full on drunk the Stevie Kool-Aid. So, some of the more esoteric, like crazy stuff took me a lot longer to warm up to. This one, it feels very poppy. It just had a lot of immediate appeal. And I feel like this is also one of the first examples of her he said, she said songs that really kind of hit its peak, maybe with Other Side of the Mirror.
Yes.
Where there's a lot of recounting of conversations. But yeah, a big fan of this one.
It's interesting because the lyrics, like, who's there? Where has she gone? Like, even these like poppier songs have their moments of like her truth coming through. Nathan.
They have their moments of what?
The truth of her life coming through.
One of the things I like about this song is that we've got this whole back catalog of all the demos and stuff for it. I mean, there's a really complete, sequence of changes and iterations that the song went through. And that's one of the things I like about it, because I think it helps understand it more if you can see the ways that it's changed. And so, in the first part, it wasn't who's there, where has she gone? It was who's there, who says the bird has flown.
Oh,
right. As one example, and there's a bunch more throughout the song, little things like that, and it gives you a sense, I think, in her larger body of work, how she changes little words and makes things, they're totally unrelated, but they sound close to what the original lyric was, and it's more universal that way. So she'll change it in that way. Steve probably knows what I'm talking about. And so seeing that sequence of changes is what's interesting to me about it. I think it sounds like a Billy Joel song.
Okay.
Or not Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen. It sounds like a Bruce Springsteen song to me. The guitars and the accordion effects on it or something. And this is another one where the drugs are very clearly on the surface, I think, in the lyrics, not only in the lyrics, but in the production of this one too, where if you listen to, I don't remember if it's outtake 4 or outtake 5 or which, because they're only about 10. So it's one of the earlier ones where instead of a snare or a high cymbal hitting, it sounds like someone took their nostril over the microphone and went,
oh my God.
I'm not kidding. It's very strange. So if anybody knows what I'm talking about, I'll take an amen. But I love it. I think it's a great song.
Check it out.
It's interesting. In the Rock Little book, they have the lyrics for Imperial Hotel twice in a row. So even the editors of the book of the CD Must have been on a little bit of cocaine. I'm looking at the copyrights here, and 1985 was the year the album came out. Someone said earlier that Rock Little was from 1982, and it actually is copyright 1982. And Imperial Hotel is from 1984, so this must have been one of the earlier recorded songs for the album. Anyone else want to talk about the Imperial?
Pretty much what everybody's been saying. It's a very Heartbreakers feel to it. Mike Campbell and Belmont's on it, so it's a couple of Heartbreakers. And it's kind of, I get the impression it's two people waiting for each other to commit. It's kind of like, I'm waiting for you, you're waiting for me. And that's kind of what it is, a conversation about that. It's probably about Joe Walsh,
To your earlier theory.
That was Joe Walsh. That was a hot mess. That almost killed
Hot mess.
Is it the, if I can just add something else, I don't see any hands. Is it the stained glass table or the same glass table? I always thought it was the same glass table.
Same glass table.
Right.
Alicia, I saw your hand was up.
I like this song. After this song, then it really goes downhill for me for this record. But I like singing to this. I've always thought, and this will show my innocence, but I always thought it was her talking to somebody, kind of like, I feel like Stevie always had to grapple and reconcile the fact that I think she did want to get married and have kids. And this is where you start really kind of seeing her realize that might not actually happen with the big rock and roll. And it's different paths we've taken, different, and it's, to me, the glass table was always kind of like the same thing that stayed. It's like the same room, but it's maybe different time frame, different. So that's what I always thought. It's interesting. People have thought it's more about the drugs, but to me, this was her having to really reconcile. So it's kind of like with Sarah, with the heartbeat still there. This is kind of, I always kind of put it in with those sort of songs.
I just want to be clear. I don't think it's completely about drugs, Alicia. I don't at all. Like the song Sarah, and I don't always find those references in her music, but this record in particular, right down to the white cover of the thing, I think is a statement about something. And the song Sarah, just to use yours, I don't find drugs in there really at all that I can think of right at the top. No,
I'm not talking drugs with Sarah. I'm talking about the heartbeat being about abortion. I think Stevie had two dreams. I think she always wanted to get married and have kids and have the White House with the picket fence. But I also think she wanted to be a big rock and roll singer. And those two dreams conflict. And she's always had to...
She couldn't have them both.
Yes. And I think she had to reconcile and realize the house with the kids and marriage was not going to happen. So you start seeing some of that in the work. So the heartbeat is more, okay, I'm not going to be able to have children. And then you have Rose Garden, where she's talking about she doesn't have the ring on her left hand. So to me, this is kind of another one of those songs where she's going, I've chose my path of fame, fortune, and rock and roll and drugs, and I can't have.
I think that reconciling those two things is definitely the larger point of this song, certainly more so than drugs, I would say.
And I look at all my heroes growing up, and all of them are single and alone. So that's definitely my destiny. Stevie, single. Joni, single. Madonna, we're not going to count the 20-year-old boy toy she has. We're not going to count that. All right, any thoughts? We're almost an hour, 15 minutes in. We haven't even gotten through side one. We have so much to say. Any more thoughts? Yes.
Speaking of Joe Walsh, I mean, I think had she not, Robin Anderson died, this record might have turned out very, very different.
Yeah, that rocked her world. No pun intended. All right. Any final thoughts on Imperial? Well, side one ends with the song that is not in my lyric sheet because I got two Imperial Hotels. If anyone has a CD, see if yours is the same way. But Some Become Strangers is the last song on side one. She did not write the song, correct?
Correct.
Nope.
Correct.
Who wrote this one?
It says Williams.
Television. It's Three
Rasmussen?
wrote it.
Okay. I like this song. It's definitely like a.
Television. Last
What do you guys think of Some Become Strangers?
I think it's a nice little pop song, slick.
filler.
But
Yeah.
I don't know why all the songs on 20 Karat Gold that were written in how she chose this song that she didn't write over one of those songs. I don't understand that.
Right. And
Good
you know,
point.
after we talk about the album, we're going to talk about, you know, some of the demos and songs she wrote during this time. There was some wild material. I think it's good she put on Some Become Strangers over the original Mabel Normand.
You know, for a woman who has so many songs that I can't possibly fit into Fleetwood Mac records, and she chooses this song, which is mediocre, it's not outstanding, and she didn't even write. Why bother?
Do you think it was the record company maybe told her she needs more singles or more mainstream material?
Or she just liked it. You know, she wasn't thinking that clearly. I don't know. Her
It
judgment.
does have a better song structure than a lot of the songs on side one.
Right. I like the hook. What is it? Part of me used to love you, part of me still does. I can relate to that one.
It's a good little song. It's just, if you're a songwriter, why would you have that?
This light here, Some Become Strangers.
And I think we all love Stevie Nicks because of her songwriting, right? I mean, that's the core of loving Stevie Nicks is about what she writes.
But as a secondary thing, because she makes certain things that she didn't write sound cool, you know.
Yeah.
And I think she certainly does that with all the vamping in that last section of Some Become Strangers.
Yeah, I like this song. I honestly, there's not one song I skip on this side one of the record. If I remember right, I think the vinyl had like didn't it have like the paisley on it from the
What is that paisley, and where
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
get a
Mhm.
10 by 15 blanket made of that exactly?
All right, Justin, is your hand up?
Yeah, I love this song. Although I agree with what folks are saying about like why is it on the Stevie Nicks record, but I do think she kind of makes it her own in a few interesting ways. I swear during the vamp or the fade out, she changes the words to "your soul becomes a stranger" or "let your soul become a stranger." Which is so Stevie. Like, I feel like that is so her, and it so speaks to, I think, where she was at that time in her life. And interesting for the trivia, I believe the writers of this song were a couple of brothers. Is that right? The Williams brothers, and they did a song of hers.
And isn't the original on YouTube? Their version
You Like Me. So it seems like there was some sort of relationship there.
Okay.
Like, you know, where they decided to swap songs or something.
Kind of like Blue Letter on the Fleetwood Mac White album. Weren't those dudes the Curtis brothers in the next?
Yeah. So
cool. Well, I don't have tons to say about this song. I like it. Does anyone else have any thoughts about something?
The Williams brothers did a song called "You Like Me, Don't You?" that Stevie Nicks did.
Yeah.
At least breaking up.
All right, so we'll do Jim, then Alicia.
In her hand, but I don't think she's doing it right.
It's a very dreamy R&B, a very funky feel to it, and she puts a lot into it. She made it her, her song, and when I was kind of working up to doing this last month, it would pop into my head and it would play in my head. So it's catchy and it's very fun, very, it's something that will play in your head over and over. It's kind of, it's not, it's very serious to her. That's why it's on the record. It's probably related to, someone in her life, and it's a very catchy line. Some become strangers. I mean, that happens. So that's it for me on this one.
I know someone mentioned, I believe this started the trend all the way through Trouble in Shangri-La, where she would bring in 2 or 3 songs by outside songwriters. Alicia, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I read this, or I heard it a couple of years back, but it was this album, because it took so long, and I guess some of the songs they felt like wasn't going to be hit songs. I guess they were somehow able to wrangle in I Can't Wait and Talk to Me, which Talk to Me isn't written by Stevie. But I heard that the song from Heart,
These
These
dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah.
These dreams she turned down.
It was originally handed to Stevie, or they wanted Stevie to do it, which then I had to run and listen to it because that's very interesting because I could see Stevie doing something with that. It's got Stevie's dream sort of, or kind of knight in shining armor sort of thing going on. But it seems like they were trying to salvage something with these recordings, which
Amen.
it's interesting, especially when you know some of the other demos that were relating to this album being recorded. I would have taken them over this song, but
For sure.
yeah, but it seems like they were trying to put something in here. To me, this is an okay song. But I would prefer something else. To me, it's kind of a filler.
Yeah. I don't need a world where Stevie Nicks sings These Dreams. I think it definitely was better for Heart, in my opinion.
Now, which sister was it? Nancy Wilson or
Nancy
Ann Wilson?
sing. Nancy
Nancy.
sing.
I think she sung it very pretty. They hit it, and it
Well,
was a
the
huge.
harmonies in the chorus might have sounded gorgeous with Stevie, Lori, and Sharon. Steve, I saw your hand up.
I don't say she was all. Do you know the song "Love Will Find a Way" by Yes? So
Yeah.
it was a minor hit, and that was offered to her too, and she turned it down.
Interesting.
I'll have to look it up.
You hadn't heard
What's
that
that?
song,
What was-
thinking that's a great song.
And wasn't Reconsider Me recorded for Rock a Little too?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So, we're going to be on this freaking thing till 1 a.m. There's so much to talk about. Roland, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. Reconsider Me is great. It's so timeless. I mean, that song sounds like it could have been on Belladonna, Wild Heart, or for more recent records. It's not dated to 1985.
Right.
It's so different sounding. But I think had they maybe actually gone on the record, it might have been, synthesized up and made it sound more consistent with the rest of the record. But I love it the way it is. It's so timeless.
I'm glad it was held back until Enchanted. Okay, we have Steve, then Steven.
We're going off on a tangent here, but I didn't start this one. For Reconsider Me, does anybody know why that's not on Spotify? You can't get Reconsider Me on Spotify.
Is Enchanted the box set on Spotify? The box set might not be on there.
It's not.
Steven.
I was going to say to Roland, didn't they redo all the instrumentation for Reconsider Me when they released it? I thought they just kept the vocals. And
Probably.
everything
Yeah,
else was
probably.
brand new.
I read somebody more current in 1998 added one guitar or something. I think it's pretty much the same song with a little
That's
bit.
it.
Cool. Well, we're at the end of side one. Do you guys want to do a 5-minute break or power on? It's everyone's vote. What is it? Does everyone need a drink or anything?
I do.
Bathroom break.
All right,
Yeah.
bathroom break. We have a lot to go still. All right, welcome back to Phonogenics 101. We're about to tackle side 2 of Stevie Nicks' Rock a Little album. My name is Jeremy Gloff. I'm broadcasting from my closet office recording studio in Tampa, Florida. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff. Even $1 or $2 a month keeps me from having to wait tables for my second job. So I can do this kind of crap instead because this is a lot more fun. So it's 1985. We all love Stevie Nicks. The first single for her album comes out. Her hair is a little blonder. Her voice is a little raspier. It's taking a little longer between albums, and the song is Talk to Me. I remember the first time I heard it, I did love it. I loved it. That's back when the VCR kind of came into play. I remember taping the video off of MTV so I could play it, rewind it, and play it over and over. And I believe there were a couple different versions of the video, different edits of the video. They had more of one scene than another. So who wants to start off? What do y'all think of Talk to Me?
Yeah.
Jim.
Yes. Talk to Me. It's a very pop song. It sounds like a radio hit, and a very uplifting, a very cool video. The little dancing and there's a story about the San Diego Padres when a pitcher was in trouble and they had a meeting at the mound and they would play Talk to Me.
Ah, really?
That's a story, yeah. when the Padres, when a pitcher's had a little trouble, the manager comes out and they would play "Talk to Me" just to kind of break it up. It was kind of cool.
What I like is in the Time Space booklet, she's like, the record company wanted me to do this song. I could not get a good vocal take, but then it was like 3 a.m. and we turned the lights down and I got my tambourine and sang it in one take. Isn't that the story?
One take again. That one take, yeah.
The one take.
She did it live quite a bit during the tour, right?
Oh yeah. And it's interesting.
She pulled it off there.
There's an 80s compilation CD that has an earlier mix of the song got released than the one on the album. It was like this 19 ladies of the 80s compilation. I actually have it. It's interesting that the early mix of Talk to Me that got released sounds more like the Red Rocks version with the like some of the things she did in that live version. So
yeah.
Have you guys ever heard that early version? I'm sure some of you have.
No.
All right. So I'll find it. We'll have our little group chat afterwards and I'll email it to everybody.
One more thing.
Yeah.
This was a trend where, all of her hits since like 75 were her self-penned. And this is, a trend where we're getting towards where hits were, start with Stop Dragging, were written by somebody else. So it was a trend where, and she always said that she never wrote for hits. She just wrote. And this was part of that trend, with I Can't Wait and Talk to Me were the two big singles. It's kind of an ego thing for me. I want Stevie to have a self-pen, have a hit, and, be recognized that way as a writer. And this was, someone else's material, and she pulls it off, and it's good to listen to, and it's, it's that. But boy, I wish you could, some of her writing would be, given to the people and recognized that way. So, it is what it is.
I found the early mix on YouTube and I dropped it in the chat if everyone wants to bookmark it. It's from a CD called The Time Life Sounds of the 80s. So
okay, we're breaking up. I hope it ain't me.
Are we all there?
It's better.
It says my internet connection was unstable, just like my life. Okay, Roland.
Yeah, Jim is right. This was a time when these older established rock stars were hiring outside writers like Hart, Starship. They were doing that too this time.
Starship.
I think it was a great single.
Starship.
It's nice. It's poppy, but unfortunately, it's been kind of a lost song now because she doesn't perform on stage. She has not since maybe Enchanted or Street Angel. She hasn't done Talk to Me. So maybe the younger fans don't even know the song. It's not part of it, and it's not really played on the radio anymore. Too. It's a dated song.
Isn't there an interview with Waddy where he said he'd love to see her open the tour with the song? And this was like in the late 2000s when her set list was never changing. I remember someone interviewed Waddy and he's like, I would love if Stevie opened the show with Talk to Me, but she just won't do it. Justin, I see your hand is up.
Good live.
Yeah, this to me is the most boring song in her whole catalog.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's nothing about it. Like, how I said she made Some Become Strangers her own. I feel like anybody could have done this song in sort of a similar way. There's just nothing about it to me that's like Stevie. And it's weird because she rejected so much stuff for this album that was handed to her that, some folks have already mentioned. These Dreams, Reconsider Me was left off. And those to me are all better songs, more interesting songs than this one.
Mabel Norman.
I know it was a big hit, so a lot of people disagree with me, but yeah, this one I just could never get into. I do remember there was an indie gay movie from the 90s called Gypsy 83.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was all about kids driving to the Night of a Thousand Stevies, and this was the only song they could get the rights to use in the movie. And it's like the least Stevie song ever. And it was the only one they could use.
Do they still do a Night of a Thousand Stevies, or is that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're all going to meet there one year. Phonogenics Stevie crew. Let's go.
Dressed up, of course. Dressed up.
I want to be Street Angel era Stevie with the looking over my shoulder.
The curtain.
All right. Other thoughts on Talk to Me? Steve.
I'm sorry, I don't know your names. It says it doesn't have your name, and I don't know how to even see you. The person that said it's not written by her, that was the first thing. I'm like, you know, I'm greedy. I want her to write it, and I don't want it to be a big hit, and I want people to like it. And so I like Talk to Me, but I didn't like it that she didn't write it. And it was kind of a long wait. There was a lot of pressure on that song because it was such a long wait for it. And I also want to add this: it is a music business, so if you're working for her label and you want to sell the record, you can't just you've got to have some meat, a song that's going to top 40 is going to pick up if you want to sell 1 million copies and go on tour and play amphitheaters or bigger. So I know why they did it and I do like it, but I'm kind of with Justin. It's like, it's fine. But it's not groundbreaking. I also was going to say, when this came out, I think this was released in October of '85, and this goes to what's going on with her because I was doing this. They should have had the video shot and released the week the album song came out. I don't know what she was doing, but that video was not world premiered MTV until like December 28th. It was already a top 10 hit. Mark Goodman, the MTV VJ, was the one that showed it, and I've got it on tape. If you want to back question my dates, and I'm like, you finally have a new album out. All these women are eclipsing you, Whitney Houston, Madonna, and you didn't talk at all. But last little comment, watching being Bobby Brown and seeing how crazy Whitney Houston was, no one could stop her. And my guess is Stevie's people are like, if you go on TV, you're going to talk off the wall, and we're going to shoot 2 videos and maybe do a print interview that can be corralled and not do any TV, because she didn't do any press. She did a video for Talk to Me, a video for I Can't Wait, and then her tour started in April when the album was already kind of fading.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that someone said that, you know, I never thought of this album in the context of like Madonna came. This is the first thing she came out with, like after Madonna, after Cindy, after Purple Rain,
Yeah.
you know, after Culture Club, after the Eurythmics. So I feel like this kind of is how Madonna must have felt when she did MDNA after Lady Gaga came out and all the.
Yeah. I mean, Stevie Nicks was from Fleetwood Mac 75 through 83 Wild Heart. She couldn't miss.
Right.
Mhm.
Everything worked for her. Everything worked for her. And not that rock and roll didn't work for her, but that's where you start. She didn't get great reviews for the album. The tour was a train wreck, hot mess, whatever you want to call it.
We'll
And
get to
lucky
that
she
for
didn't
sure.
get buried at the end of it. And to me, that whole era was a little bit of a missed opportunity. I guess you could argue she had to get through that phase of her life, and kudos to her for surviving it. And that is true. But I think she could have had a bigger career, a bigger 3 or 4 hit singles.
Yeah.
Had something been done differently.
So we're going to have Alicia, then Nathan, then Steven. Alicia, go ahead.
Well, I was going to echo kind of like what everybody said. I mean, I first heard this off of the Crystal Visions record because that was the first CD I got back in '07. And this is a good song, but when you start really diving into Stevie's catalog, this one really kind of becomes forgotten. So I liked it the first couple of years, and then I haven't listened to it in forever. I mean, I kind of pulled it back out, and she sings it great, and I mean, you can't complain, but it doesn't have that Stevie-ness with the lyrics. I mean, this is a very straight song, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of sounds odd coming from her. At least These Dreams or something else would have kind of fit better with her whole image, her whole brand that she was creating. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that this was also the big hit, this and I Can't Wait. I would have preferred to have one of her own songs. I found a couple years ago Mirror Mirror was a fabulous song, so I would be sticking that in here instead of that. But
you see, this is going to be a controversial thing,
it's
but
a good song.
I feel like the Street Angel version of Mirror Mirror was a lot better than the Rock and Roll version. But I guess that's a conversation to be had later. Nathan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, well, first of all, I love that Steve has receipts on the dates of the world premiere. I think that's
I
delightful.
can see the little earth dropping into the TV.
Oh!
Video.
Protect the tape. I'm loving that. I think the urban legend is that she turned down these dreams because she thought it would be redundant with the rest of her work. She thought it was too similar, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think that's interesting. It's an interesting point you just made, that it hangs better with the rest of it. The last thing I'll say about Talk to Me is, well, two things. Number one, it's got a great bridge. Has everybody forgotten about letting the walls burn down, setting your secrets free? It's got a great bridge, gang. Not only that, but did you guys catch the story about the music video, the filming of the music video that was out on some social media recently?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, the story very briefly is that they had it all arranged to go shoot the video that I think we all know. And at the last minute, she got very sick. She was very sick the night before, and so couldn't come in to film it. So insurance had to take over, and they paid for it was a big, expensive video, I guess. But so they paid for 2 full days of a shoot that she wasn't able to attend. And then they went back and redid it all a couple months later. So she got sick, whatever that means to you. But they definitely had to, much like Stand Back, except it was the same concept both times, 2 separate filmings for one video.
So that's why it didn't come out till December, probably. All right, Steven.
I don't have anything really profound to add. I was just going to say, when I came into liking Stevie Nicks in '87, I went backwards. So I wasn't familiar with Belladonna and Wild Heart. I kind of discovered the first 3 at the same time. And this album was a little more palpable to somebody who had already been exposed to Madonna and Stevie Nicks. And Stevie also seemed like she was dealing with because things have changed a little bit. She was kind of on the older side for a pop star, was how I approached it.
It's
like
interesting.
There were these young girls, and then there was this mature woman, and she was kind of like your mom and dad's musician a little bit.
She was 38.
So Rock a Little seemed like she was trying to be hip and appeal to a younger crowd, and it wasn't really a good fit.
Because back in the 80s, you would have some of those older artists still be hip, like Kim Carnes. I'm a huge Kim Carnes fan. And, Betty Davis Eyes was from her 8th album, and she was older by that point. We can't compare Stevie's career to Kim Carnes, of course, but I feel like back then you could be older and still pop.
I mean, she seems young now.
Right. Stevie was 38 when this came out?
To a kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that seemed ancient to a kid. Not anymore.
It's offensive now, but
yeah.
Yeah, I remember being 38. Do we have any other thoughts on Talk to Me? Did everyone get their say?
I don't. That was a long time ago.
All right. Well, the next song is The Nightmare, and I never liked the song, so you guys can talk about it. I have nothing to say. I just felt like it was this long, rambling 80s thing with, I guess I like the background, this is not the world. That's the little hook at the end. I just felt like, isn't there some throwbacks to storms and stuff in the lyrics?
Yeah, a lot of repeated lyrics and all her cliches about moons and gyps, all that kind of that Steviness and her mythology words in there, dreams and moons and stuff like that, which gets overused.
And I know it's the piano demo. When I heard there was a piano demo, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna love this. I didn't even like the piano demo. This is just not a song that I really did much for me. So somebody prove me wrong. Does anybody love this, The Nightmare?
No.
Steve.
I like it. I kind of like it. The only comment I had, I think, is interesting that somebody may have seen. Did anybody see that? I don't know how you say his last name. Molly Meldring, whatever, the Australian guy.
Oh, the Australian guy.
And that was when she was in Australia, when she should have been promoting rock a little, but she was hanging out with Tom Petty.
The Heartbreakers, and she fell off the stage.
Yeah, that was weird too, that she was down there doing that, not working her album. He even said that to her. He said, why are you hanging out with Tom Petty and Bob Dylan when you have a new album out? And she's kind of like, you could tell she was feeling good. It was a good interview. But anyway, about The Nightmare, he said to her, there's a song you wrote with your brother on here, isn't it? And she was like, yeah, she didn't want to talk about it I don't think, and I think that's what he let it go. He didn't follow up. So that makes me wonder if it doesn't have something uncomfortable.
Okay.
I mean, I could be misreading that, but he referenced that song being a co-write with her brother, and she just kind of said yes, and she didn't expand on it, and he didn't ask her.
I forgot that Christopher Nix co-wrote this. Is this the only time they ever wrote together?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do Jim, then Roland.
This is gonna right.
Okay. Nightmare. You look in the liner notes. She did some synth in it, and she did some mixing.
Excuse me.
Produced this. It's a very Stevie sound, very Stevie type. Like I said, "Talk to Me" is the hit, and this is a Stevie song. It's not her best stuff, but it's very Stevie-like, and it's in her, goes to her mythology and everything like that. And I think in here she's trying to lure someone into like her darkness. You know, she's going through a bad time, and she's kind of saying, well, you know, you can stick with me through this very hard time period, and you know, and see what comes out in the end. That's kind of what the song kind of represents. Is, you know, this is part of that dark period.
Roland, you had a thought?
I just think this song is just noise. It's like "Love Is Like a River," and I don't care. You know, it's really questionable when Stevie gives co-written credits to someone like. There's a song she did with Fleetwood Mac, "No Questions Asked." She gave a co-wrote credit to Kelly Johnson, her assistant sister, because the lady found her a tape recorder, and because of that, she gets 50% of the song. So God knows what Christopher Nix did to a co-write.
I just want to put out there that "No Questions Asked" is definitely my top 5 favorite Stevie songs. I love that song.
It's a good song. I like that song.
It's like college
I like
rock.
it.
It's like indie rock, kind of.
Yeah.
Nathan, I see your hand is up.
What was the the Nightmare?
Yeah.
Well, I think to Jim's point a second ago that you know, the dark times and standing against the storm is very much about. I mean, isn't this song about her brief marriage? Don't we all know that that's large? Or can we? I mean, I think that that's mostly the genesis of the song. There's probably a bunch of other stuff in there, like there usually is.
Right.
But I think that's kind of the, you know, generative event was her short-lived marriage. And so I think that Standing Against the Storm is about being with what's his name, you know, and going through the grief together and that
Robin's
sort of
brother.
thing. So yeah. So I think I think it's interesting from that perspective. I really like a lot of the outtakes that we have heard of this song more than the final album version. And that's what I have to say about The Nightmare.
You know what I like is when she goes, "Anytime."
Anywhere.
That's my favorite part.
All right. Anybody else on The Nightmare? Am I missing anybody?
I wish it was shorter. I think it's a good song, but I think it just drags on.
And then there's the extended remix that goes on and on even longer, right?
Oh yeah, there is remix. Yeah.
Wasn't there a 12-inch version that was officially released?
Mm-hmm.
Just what the world needs.
Waddy Wattell
longer
does some great guitar work on the end of that stuff, though. You know,
Yeah, he does.
sounds pretty good.
I forget. Is this a co-written song or does she write it herself?
Her and her brother.
Well, yeah, the brother. Yeah, the brother.
And I had no idea about that. I think that's really interesting and gives it another. I wonder if he did just find some batteries for a tape recorder, or if maybe he helped her explore some feelings that she was trying to get out in that song or something. I think that's interesting.
He pulled the same glass table into the room, so he got a. All right, so moving on.
Stained glass table.
Yeah, you got me backstage.
Not only did I put this glass table in the.
I got to meet her.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I got the stained glass table instead of same, and I put it in the wrong song. So I'm really failing as the host in this tonight. All right, Steve, what were you going to say?
Oh, heresy.
he got me. Actually, the first time I got to meet her was through him. I have a story about that song, but not for YouTube.
Okay, so when we pause after the episode, I'd want to hear the story. Okay, moving on to If I Were You, I think it's pop perfection. I actually love the song. I like to sing along to it. It's got that 80s soundtrack kind of feel. To this, I always feel like there's a chain of Stevie songs that kind of go together, like Outside the Rain goes with Dreams. Vibe-wise, I feel like If I Were You goes with Love Changes on Trouble in Shangri-La. They both kind of have that kind of bouncy, feel-good feel. What does everyone else think of this song? Am I the only one that likes it? Roland, and then we'll do Jim.
I like it. It's very commercial, and I think it should have been the third single to boost up the record instead of Has Anyone, which did not go anywhere.
No. Jim.
It's a very like a very positive vibe. It's sort of an interlude song. It bridges the Nightmare to No Spoken Word for pretty hard, heavy hitting songs. And, you know, very pop. Could have been a single, you know. It probably would have worked live, you know.
Yeah.
Like that, it might have worked pretty well live. And I wrote down here that Rick Knowles keeps turning up in this album in a lot of ways, producer, writer, and everything. I think he took over that little support Sandy Stewart role on this album. So, and Stevie did an interview where Rick Knowles, they knew each other way back in the Buckingham Nicks era. So he, you know, he came in here and supported this and this, you know, this project. And did he show up later on some of the other albums as a writer or anything? I don't remember.
I think he wrote something
on the other side of the mirror.
Other side of the mirror.
Next, yeah.
He co-wrote Two Kinds of Love and
Okay.
My Love.
That for sure.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do Steve, then Justin. Steve?
Jeremy, I agree with your description of it completely. Roland, I agree with you. If I'd been her record label for the third single, it would be either Sister Honey or If I Were You. One's kind of funky, one's just kind of pop. And my guess is she probably said, okay, I did talk to me. I didn't want to do it. Has anyone ever written? It's my song. That song means something to me. I'm going to stick it out there as a single. If it doesn't sell, I don't care. I want it to be a single. And they probably said, fine.
We'll do that. Sell.
I don't know. That could be completely not true.
Right.
But I don't think anybody would think on pop radio in 1986 that Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You, a beautiful song is going to be played on top 40 radio. And it was. And I think it died at number 60.
You know what I love about this one? It's like the beginning, like the do 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 do, like it has those like synthesizer toms. Justin, you have some thoughts?
It's so 80s, but in like a great way. I'm puzzling. So I'm a big fan of the song. I love that too, Jeremy. The little do 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 do.
The doorbell song.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking at the lyrics here as we're talking, and I'm struggling to figure out what her contribution was because the lyrics are so on Stevie. They're so on the nose, especially the bridge where I believe that love is a living thing, born into our destinies from a single moment of inspiration. As it grows, it changes your life forever! !
Yeah.
So good bridge, though.
It's a good bridge, but I'm just struggling to figure out what Stevie.
That's funny, but you laughing at that, Justin, is funny. I think it's a great bridge.
I think she added the whoa, whoa, whoa. That's what she added.
Which is a great hook. I love that. The oh, whoa, whoa. Yeah.
This should have been a hit. My goodness. Any other thoughts on If I Were You? I'm glad I'm in company of people that appreciate this pop perfection. Alicia, I know you didn't like the second half of the album. I'm just curious, what did you think of this song?
Well, this is probably one of the few that I actually did like. I do like all the OOOs or oohs, whatever you want to call it. I liked, well, I forget who just spoke. Justin said, I like that love is a living thing. Makes me always think that it's more of an action. Sometimes the way we view love, it's kind of a passé thing. So I've always liked that because I feel like that's a little kernel of truth that got stuck into this song.
Mhm.
I also liked the line, "Every boy must learn to be a man. Maybe I can help you. Yes, I can." Sounds like, everybody has to learn to grow up and learn their role in a relationship. So made me wonder, this is about her having a struggle dealing with one of her many flings, affairs. Joe seemed to be a big contributor in this record. Who knows? But so this is a good song. It's probably one I like as long as anyone ever winning anything for you on this side. But yeah, this is a good song.
I think it's interesting, Alicia, because last week you also liked Nothing Ever Changes, which is the other one about her admonishing men as little boys. And here we are again with the same thing.
Nothing Ever Changes is a great song.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Great song.
I really like Alicia's point about us being able to take a larger lesson in life and love and relationships from it. That love is something you do all the time. It's not just a state of whatever. Love is a state of mind. We all know that.
Yes.
But I get your point, Alicia, and I think it's well said.
All right. So going into No Spoken Word, I bought this album in 1985. We all heard that story. But then in 1995, I moved from my small town to Buffalo, New York. There used to be this store called Media Play, and I bought this on VHS, Red Rocks, which we will talk about that after this album. But I never liked No Spoken Word until the Red Rocks version. I'm like, oh, see, I get it now. Like, she goes kind of, this is going to be a whole discussion, but she goes kind of crazy in the song and really sells it. So who wants to start off with No Spoken Word?
Love it.
You love it?
Love it.
I kind of miss it now. That's not performed as she used to do.
Yeah, I wish she would bring this one back. Do you know what I love in the Red Rocks version where she's like, in the album version, she's like, what did she say? You can't learn from the pages of a book. And then in Red Rocks, she's like, from the pages of a book.
Like that?
The best part.
I hate that.
Oh, I love it. Because I'm like, whatever she was feeling, she sold it to me. Like, I'm like, take my receipts.
I think she still needs to get her will updated.
I just feel like she's so overwhelmed by the emotion of this song, and this is a really angry song.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel like? And another thing I like about the song is I feel like the background parts are almost like a caricature of the Stevie Nicks, like the whoo, like it's almost like too much. But I love it. I know I'm rambling a little bit. Justin, take the floor away from me because I'm going crazy here.
First of all, is this the only song she has sole co-writing credit for? No, I guess I Sing for the Things and Rock a Little. Yeah, this is one of the few that she's the only credited writer. I like the song, but I'm not a fan of the instrumentation on this one. To me, there's something kind of stale about it. Like,
it's kind of Sammy Hagar a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. I feel like it would have sounded a little dated even in 1985, like someone dug out of the early 80s. If
anyone's a Kim Carnes fan, this reminded me of her album Cafe Racers. It had that 80s MOR synthesizer production. If you look on
that Invisible Hands song on that,
Invisible Hands, yep.
I like that song.
Doesn't it kind of have the same sound as this though?
It does.
In the lyric sheet, it says for Bentmont. So this song was written for him for some reason. I never noticed that till right now. He was from the Heartbreakers, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. That's elucidating, isn't it? It's like, come over, Benmont Tench, even though it's,
Yeah, come over with the wind, the rain, and the water.
I lied to you guys. This booklet starts off with No Spoken Word, but then on the other side, it's the lyrics from Imperial Hotel. So there's definitely a misprint. So it's Imperial Hotel as for Bentmont. I take it back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Oh.
There goes me failing as a host again. But this one was not my fault. Let's talk about the Red Rocks version. Does anyone else like?
Yes.
What does everyone feel about that? Jim, take it away.
She sells it.
Yeah.
Well, it's very good live. It's in my notes here. Very good live. And we talked about where from a book, I think she might have been almost like forgot what she was going to say, and then she caught herself back up and made it fun, and kept going with that. It's it's a very immediate song. And this is one of the few times Waddy Wachell was on this record. He was probably hanging around with Keith Richards a lot at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Period. That's about it. Very angry, very immediate,
Dark.
A very good live song to play and do. So,
do we have any other thoughts on No Spoken Word? Did I miss anybody? All right. Well, the closing track on the album, we all know the story of she drove up to the top of the mountain in Colorado with Joe Walsh, and his child had died, and there was a water fountain dedicated to the child. And she wrote, has anyone ever written anything for you for Joe Walsh? I think this song is pretty. It's not one of my favorite epic Stevie endings. I like Beauty and the Beast and Love Is better, but I do think this is a pretty song.
Y'all hear Jeremy?
Oh, am I lost? Can you hear me still?
Now you can. I can.
Okay. Damn internet. I was just saying that I like Beauty and the Beast and Love Is better as far as like Stevie ballads.
Yeah, I agree.
This one was
I like this one in Beauty and the Beast.
What's that, Alicia?
Oh,
This one kind of got worn out.
Rain comes down.
I think.
I liked Beauty and the Beast and anything written for you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this song. Of course, I love the Poets, Priest of Legends, the Fade Out. I think that's a classic Stevie moment.
Does everybody like that? Or I feel it's a little self-referential.
You think so?
I guess, but yeah, I mean, so much of her work is. But I mean, but what's that earlier line in Rock a Little about rumors are started? I mean, certainly there. Anytime she goes back to her earlier thing, it's a little self-referential.
Right.
The
Dreams and
Poets,
Change.
Legends, Priest of Nothing. That just doesn't really scratch my particular itch. But I do love the bridge. I heard you about to go there a second ago, Jeremy. The rain comes down. That whole section is beautiful.
Beautiful.
What I like about this song, very beautiful, is that you all know the story about how she came off the plane after Boulder and then she went right into her place in Phoenix to write it?
No, I never heard that.
Right?
No.
She walked right into that. Well, that's the story. She got off the plane to Phoenix and she got off the plane from tour and then off the Wild Heart tour. And I went straight to my house in Phoenix, as she would say, and then she wrote the song. And I don't know if you guys have been to that house in Phoenix.
You have.
I have. I told you about that, huh, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Sometimes Jeremy and I text about songs and stuff, and it's mostly me texting and him responding, but suffice to say it's entertaining. It's a beautiful house, and once not that I've been inside it or anything, I'm not that much of a, I wasn't willing to go that far into my breaking and entering, trespassing experience there. But anyway, I really like that. And if you see that house, in the high ceilings, but you can even get a sense of it from the pictures from that sort of portal thing with it's got glass doors on either side. And y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a great place to write a song, I would imagine.
You know what's funny is to read the lyrics. Has anyone ever written anything for you in your darkest hours? Did you ever give it back? Well, I have.
If I can just add one more quick thing,
Absolutely,
Jeremy, that line about the darkest sorrow. There's also something I think in the time space liner notes where she says, or one of her albums, and this album is dedicated to, my dad, who told me once that even in his darkest hours, it was a pleasure to hear my voice.
Aww.
Something very close to that, but darkest hours was in there. So I'm fairly certain that line was taken from her dad.
Justin.
Oh yeah, as Nathan said, she said something like, my dad said, in his darkest hour, I was always a pleasure to him and always a comfort, something like that. Actually, that line about priests of nothing is actually very dismissive, because she did an interview where she said that, well, I'm the priest, poet, priestess, whatever, but you're this priest of nothing because you don't do anything and nothing comes out of what you do. So it's kind of dismissive towards, I guess, Joe Walsh. And actually, if you look up the fountain on the internet, you can actually see the fountain.
I'm a fan of this song. I like it a lot. The only thing I don't like, and I never did, was when the real piano switches to like a cheesy keyboard sound early in the song. That just always drove me nuts, because to me it takes it from being something sincere to something kind of cheesy.
Didn't it kind of have the Bonnie Raitt Nick of Time piano? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is that what it is? I don't know what it
like
is.
That
but
electric...
to me, it just sounds like super cheesy. Yeah. I just wish you'd stuck with the acoustic. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have
That's interesting. I haven't heard that. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it.
Carly Simon or...
I'm still here.
All right. Did anyone else have anything? Roland? Jim?
There was a rumor that after Whitney Houston died, that Whitney supposedly did a remake of the song. It was going to be on her record that was going to be released after her death, but I don't know if it's true or not.
Of this song?
I've heard that.
Be interesting. That'd be weird for that.
I bet that would be good, Roland. I would like to hear that.
Me too.
Yeah, look what she did with Dolly Parton's songwriting, so I can only imagine what she'd do with Stevie.
Do you know how much money Stevie made off of the Dixie Chicks landslide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$7 million.
Probably paid for a house.
$7 million.
Wow.
Wow.
How much?
$7 million.
Oh, wow.
From a song she wrote in 1973.
My
She
goodness.
had that much money in 2002.
Mm.
That's why she told Britney Spears, "You're not going to be cute forever. Write your own songs."
She did tell her that.
Very true. Very true.
All right, my internet was falling out for a minute. So did I miss anybody on the song? Jim, did I miss you?
Yeah. When I first heard it, it was, you can apply this to, like, she's singing to, anyone like me, and there was a lot of times where I didn't know who this person was singing. And, she kind of got under my skin. I had like a dialogue with her over the time, didn't know her name or anything. And this kind of refers to that for me personally, that, has anyone written anything for you? And that's pretty much the true story of my fandom of, she just writes for whoever's out there. And it's about Joe Walsh, and his daughter. That's very, that's a very sad story. I think it was a bus. She was going to school, his daughter, and it was a bus crash, and she, died in that. And that's a very sad thing. I mean, that's just tragic. It's all get out,
And this song does have a key change. And Stevie Nicks doesn't do a lot of key changes, does she, in her songs?
In this
one, yeah, but no, she doesn't normally.
Right. All right. Well, any thoughts on, has anyone ever written anything for you before we go into the last segment of our discussion? And I apologize that my internet's being such a pain in the butt tonight. It's right on par. It's right on brand with Rock a Little, though. Like, it's a little rocky.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a mess. Totally the right discussion. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Live at Red Rocks, and then we're going to talk about the demos before we wrap up. Okay, I'm going to list for you guys my top moments at Red Rocks, and then everyone can add to my list. Number 1, the intro to Edge of 17, where everyone's looking around for Stevie. And Body's playing, everyone's looking around. Where's Stevie? And it goes on for like 10 minutes. And then she comes out and gives people these high fives with this thing of hair. So that's number 1. Number 2, the no spoken word, where she does the pages of a book.
Yeah.
Number 3, the bird won't leave her hands. So she's trying to get the bird to leave her hands.
I knew you were going to say that.
Number 4, how when it goes from outside the rain into dreams, she totally misses the first line and runs Paul's ass to the microphone stand. I love Bobby Hall on percussion, and I think she was in the In Concert Belladonna tour. I wish Stevie brought her back on the tours. I love the percussion she brought.
Yes.
And I think she fell into hard times. I did some research that she kind of like sold off all her stuff. So Bobby Hall, who also played on Joni Mitchell's song Coyote, a little trivia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same percussionist. We need to find her and have her on this podcast so we can hear about the Rock Little tour. I had to look at the track list here. I know I'm missing
You
some
could
more.
pass the tin can around and people would probably chip in for that because we want to hear some stories, you know?
Okay, next on my list is Beauty and the Beast, where she goes, Who's the beauty?
If you don't tell her.
Tell her now.
Tell her now, yes. All right, next, and Stand Back, where they're like, it's all right. It's not all right.
Do you not sing that every time you play the song?
Yes,
You have to.
you have to. It's not
That's
all
a
right.
killer version of. That's the best version of Stand Back, in my opinion.
And then I love and talk
I
to me,
love it.
like, where she ends each verse with like, yeah, like that Bon Jovi. Okay, this might not be a top 10 list, but my final thing before I turn over the floor to you guys, my favorite things about the Red Rocks video. No, I have two more. The sunglasses, which is coming out of the limousine.
She's like this tall, with the white sneakers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
sunglasses.
crazy. She gets out of the car and doesn't rise up. She just goes level.
Okay, and number one, my favorite moment of Red Rocks, and this is going to happen for this podcast. If no one looks good, I'm going to film some close-ups of us, dub them in with different hairstyles, and pretend it's the real thing. The close-ups filmed after rehab. Totally different hair, different lighting, the best ever. So what does everyone feel about Red Rocks?
I think vocally, it's a very good show. You know, a lot of fun, a lot of improv, but you know, she held it together. She went right into rehab after that show. That's what the story is.
Right.
And she was, you know, and she said she was in a lot of pain. And after that thing, she went, I don't know if that was the last show of that tour or not, but you know, she held it together.
It was the last US show. Then she went to Australia. Then she went to rehab.
Okay. All right.
So-
Roland, then Alicia.
Those close-ups just drive you nuts. I mean, I thought she looked fine. You know the part where she's holding the dove? She looked fine. Let's do the phony close-ups. I don't think they were necessary. It might have been a trend back then to do the phony close-ups. And I had a friend who I showed the video to, and he was an average fan, not a great fan. And he just went on, "Oh, she's so beautiful, she's so lovely," and I just didn't have the heart to tell him those are phony close-ups afterwards.
Do you know what I'd say about that?
And I also heard that the Red Rocks show, it was filmed the last night of her Rock Little tour. The tickets were either very, very discounted because they had to make sure that they got a crowd to film the video. So the tickets were
we spiced.
very, very cheap for that show. That's what I heard.
All right. You know what Stevie would say about this? This is serious. And I forgot the speaking in tongues during Edge of 17.
Yeah.
That's her most punk rock moment ever, where she's like, Nathan, I see
Great
you hand
edge
is up.
too.
It's
a great
I don't
edge.
know. It's a what?
It's a great edge in that concert.
Yeah.
Edge of 17.
Might be.
Actually, the first time I heard that song was in that concert. It was really good.
I wish she wouldn't have overdubbed all the singing it to yas in there. If you'd have done that about 60% less, it would have taken it there.
Is that where the singing it to ya started? Was it Red Rocks?
Well, I think it started I don't know. You guys might be able to say better than I, but I think it started during that tour.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for some reason that show must have been so, I don't know what, off too much out there that she did it, singing it to you the whole way through. And the only reason I say that is because, or one of the reasons I say, I don't know, have you guys ever been to that venue, to the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Denver? You can go out there and you can I've been there at 4 a.m. when there's no one else there and walked center stage like it was, and texted some people and, had a little private time. So you can do that there because it's a public park. And of course you can also go see shows there and stuff. And if you want to go underground and see like where they go up to the center house mix place, then you have to get tickets and go through like a special. There's all kinds of stuff about it. Somebody's as big a fan of me to have looked all this up online before too, right?
No, but I'm intrigued.
Nobody. So it's just a really incredible venue, and one of the things that I really like about that show is that she chose that place as opposed to the Beverly Wilshire or some PBS soundstage in Chicago or something. I like that she chose that place because it was magical and special, and that's where they had the show. And they started it right at sundown, right? Sunset. So I just think it's great.
And isn't there dubbed in thunder and lightning during dreams? Like a
yeah.
Yeah. Like
I'm sorry. One of the things that you'll find there if you go and you do the free stuff, which you have to do during regular business hours to go into the little visitor centers and everything, is that they have the dates and times of everybody who's ever played there ever. And you can see that in 86, I guess it would have been, she actually played about 3 dates there.
Okay.
Right. She played about 3 dates, and one of them was really right at the end of the tour, and the other 2 were right at the beginning. And there were 2 nights back to back, I think, at the beginning, 1 night at the end. So I've wondered how much of this show is composited from those 3 things. But you guys have probably all heard the uncut download bootleg that you can get, which is interesting. So we really have it all there. Anyway, it's just a great show.
And did she do I Can't Wait at that one?
She did. What about the dance with Brad Jeffries?
Oh, the dance, Peter Frampton, Mick Fleetwood. During Outside the Rain, where she says, Mick, what'd she say? Mick says it's one more link in the chain.
It says, Stevie, it's just one more link in the chain. Yeah.
Do not break the chain, please. When I was a kid,
I love it. That's the best. Those 2 songs blended together too is in that concert.
I took my Red Rocks VHS and put it on cassette, and I used to play the Red Rocks cassette in my car and sing along to it in 1995.
Did you know that at the end of I Need to Know, she sings Take Your Vitamin Blue Mornings with you?
Yes. Yeah. With you.
That's rock and roll.
This is the height.
Love that concert.
This is the height of Stevie's career right here. I feel.
Well, she's a hot mess, but it's a very good, very what do you call it, fresh and what do you call it, fluid show. And I didn't really like it at first because I got attached to the older stuff. But you look at it technically on the vocals, that's a really good show. It's raw and it's rock and roll.
Now tell me how you guys feel.
I'd like to see the
About the
raw
more
footage without all the fake.
How big is the Red Rocks? How big is that arena? What's the capacity? Does anybody know?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 20,000, 15? Just curious.
I bet it's 10 or under, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I like where she walks out and takes the bouquet of flowers and flings them out to the crowd.
I think she did the bouquet of flowers. Yeah, nice throw it there.
Someone got
it.
Yeah.
I think she did that as recently.
The capacity is 9,525.
Okay. It's very intimate. It's fairly intimate. Little.
Cool. Well, the Red Rocks VHS was the Bible of life for me for like a year of my life.
Me too. Yeah.
And let me say this, you guys might disagree, but actually the close-ups are so bad that I love them in this. Like they're so awful. But the Tango in the Night video I hated them. Like they weren't campy and fun once it got to that one.
This was better than the Tango ones, yes. Oh, story, we watched the Led Zeppelin, the song Remains the Same.
Mm-hmm.
Shot that, the almost entire stage stuff was reshot on a private stage.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So, this ain't the first time.
Right.
But most most of the Red Rocks thing is Stevie live, and you know, and the close-ups are, you know, phony baloney. It's probably, they probably couldn't get the camera if they had. They probably couldn't get the cameras close enough because those wide shots is trying to sell a VHS of that. People probably wouldn't, you know, like that. So you had to do something.
At least you could have matched up her hairstyles though. Because in the actual concert,
Well, that would have been nice.
and like in the close-ups, it's like this. Steve, I saw your hand up.
Will I offend anybody if I have a different opinion?
No, of course not.
For me, the best part was that she survived it and was over, and she didn't.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
to be there during that era. I can't. Yes, rock and roll and raw. I agree with that, but I sort of see just a sick girl, and I
Sure.
look at the
Well,
Belladonna tour, which to me was, she's beautiful. She sounds great. She's in control, and that was a great show. And just 5 years later, she's
Mhm.
hair's all frizzy and burned looking, and
Yeah.
her clothes aren't pretty. I don't think she looks. I think she looks bloated in her face, and
Yeah.
I would.
There, but
5 months later, 5 months off cocaine, 15 pounds lighter. She looks a lot better. Now, granted, I agree. They didn't even try to fake. They didn't even try to fool us. It's like, we're going to reshoot them. She's going to look different and just be happy up close. She looks good. And these close-ups, we're not going to try to make you think they were real. It's like, why even release it then? And I think she screams all the songs. I like Alicia Wright. I like the girl backup singer.
The background singer.
I like her. But if you look at the part of the edges, I've showed my kids this when I was sort of doing the don't do drugs period. And I even used her. I'm like, look at this woman in 1981. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then there's a part when Jennifer Condos, the bass player, is looking at Stevie when she's doing her flip out at the end, like, oh my God, is she going to have it? I mean, is she going to, it was, next time you watch that, watch the bass player watching her.
During the speaking in tongues?
Yeah. Like she looks freaked out to me. Not like, oh, you go, Stevie, you're having fun. She looks like, well, I guess I got paid for most of these dates on this tour.
And after that speaking in tongues where Stevie's like singing it to you, like she almost is crying. You know what I mean? Like she's, Alicia, did you have your hand up?
I did. I mean, I watched this last night, and audio, she sounds good. I mean, at least it's a decent.
it's technically correct in a rock.
Well, it's a decent.
But
It would be a decent live record, and it's interesting because it would be somewhat different lyrics, and it's not quite the script songs that we get today. But visually, it's awful. I mean, they should show it in like video editing classes. Like, I mean, I was noticing so many things. Like, during the I Want to Know scene, you have the tambourine that's on the floor. That's, towards the end. It was like, what happened to the tambourine? Did she like throw it? I mean, there's so many things. And you can tell, I guess they did the redones because she probably was swimming. But you make you wonder why they even released it. Why didn't they just do a live CD? Because I probably will never watch it again. It was just so bad visually.
Visually it's bad, but sonically it's pretty damn good.
Sonically, it's
Rock
pretty,
and roll.
yeah. I mean, I would prefer maybe 81, maybe, but
Yeah, I mean that's apples and oranges, but I knew there was something going on. I mean, comparing the Belladonna period to what that was going on there.
How do you go from the high kick and golden braid to
Yeah.
Steven, I see your hand was up.
I was going to say, don't you miss the energy of this concert every time you
Yes.
see her live, though?
That's true. That's
yes.
true.
And from
Every
this
time.
tour,
This is what I want, that energy. And I'm always a little disappointed. But,
It's also 38 verses.
there's trade-offs, too. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've seen her like every year since
Oh,
that.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
From this
You know-
tour, she ad-libbed different every show too. Like, cause now she like kind of does the same standard ad-libs. But it's interesting because
Yeah.
every date, if you listen to the audio, she was doing her own thing every single time, and I love that.
Well,
And
that's
there
what
were
made it
also one
good.
stories.
I wanted to tell you that I've seen her be late to dreams twice in concert. Like you said in that video. It's almost like she memorized it from watching the video herself.
I think she started that shit with watching Dreams in that video herself. Because she's, I mean, come on, this is back to her self-referential tendencies, you know? We all know she watches her own stuff because she redoes it every time.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Roland, did you have something?
And there were stories from this tour that she was falling off the stage too at this point.
Yeah.
Now she would come too close and literally just almost fall into the crowd. She must have been doing her own makeup because I've seen pictures from the Rock and Roll tour. She looked horrible. She had this black eye raccoon stuff around her eyes, which she must have done herself because her makeup lady would not have done that. You know, I think it reflected her mood that she was in at the time.
You see,
the same stuff around my eyes.
Another thing I've noticed here that to me illustrates how bad things were. If you watch the very beginning when her brother says, "Come on, welcome, ready to rock a little," Stevie Nicks, and Dennis Dunstan is her security guy, and she's backstage high five. It's like, Stevie, you're getting ready to tape a Showtime special. Get your butt out there and get ready to go. And the music cues, and she was out there he had to like turn her around. And if you watch him, he's got his hand on her waist, kind of pushing her towards the stage, and she was like out of it. I mean, maybe I'm seeing that because I know it's true. Maybe if you don't know it's true, you wouldn't notice that. But she's not paying attention when they're announcing her. And he's turning her. She's high-fiving people backstage. And they have to like physically turn her.
Oh, I know the frames you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't announce her right at the time that she was doing her funny high fives, though.
He looks frustrated, like, oh my God, let's go.
Now, I just got to say really quick, as a gay man, there's highlights of my life. Britney's Meltdown, Blackout Era.
Oh, man.
Mariah Glitter, Stevie Red Rocks. Like, these are just these camp moments. It must have been so hard for the artist to go through, but they're very near and dear to my heart. Alicia, you had your hand up?
I had several.
Well, I was going to kind of bounce off of Steve. I mean, she looked very frumpy. I mean, when she started out, she had, 2 or 3 capes on her. I always wondered during this era, and she starts it with this and the other side of the mirror, but she kind of stops with the whole, her big bell sleeves, kind of what she became her uniform.
Right.
Which is very interesting because she worked really hard to create her image and her brand, and she's now doing the, like, I call it the 80s, the padded shoulders and the sequin. It's like, I don't know. It's so un-Stevie that it really kind of looked odd.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was that part where she was, I don't know, I guess she was dancing with the backup dancer that like popped out.
She's like pointing at him.
Oh, Brad.
Yeah. It was just really weird. It was almost like they're fighting, but they weren't.
80s.
It's so bad. So bad, but so
But
good.
that's the feeling of Stand Back, though, isn't it? It's about an incredible argument. I mean, they were fighting and can we just say something about the black coat that she wears at the beginning that Dave Stewart later wears in 2011? Because that black coat, I mean, I don't know if they make one in my size, but shit. Nice coat. You know what I'm talking about, you guys?
Yeah. And I think we also need to do a shout out. Oh, sorry, Steve.
No, go ahead.
I would say we need to do a shout out to Alicia. Is that her name? Her background vocals on Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You? I love her. What does she sing?
I have.
I Believed in You.
Yeah. I believed in you. Like
I believed in you. Yeah.
Give it to me, girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
That's nice. That's
Nice
nice.
to have a little R&B in there.
Yeah.
I liked Lynn Mabry too. I like when she has a black female backup singer. I do like the way they sound great with her. Do you remember Lynn Mabry sang on Behind the Mask, Time Space?
Mm-hmm.
And I liked her vocals a lot.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Lynn Mabry. Yeah.
Beautiful too.
Well, we only have 23 minutes till this meeting cuts off because we're going to hit the 3-hour mark. We talked about Rock a Little for 3 hours, you guys. But this is so much fun. I hope you all keep coming back through this whole discography. I just love this.
I have to say that I'm very surprised that we're passing the 2-hour 37 mark because I thought this discussion will last less because the songs are not as well beloved in general than Belladonna Wild Heart. But hey, let's continue. The demos.
Yeah, we have 20 minutes to talk about the demos. I'm just gonna say, Mirror Mirror, for God's sakes, how did that Street Angel version become so good? I didn't like, and I love that they released the Rocklow version by accident on the Blue Denim B-side. They mixed up the master tapes and put the wrong version out. Alicia, did you have your hand up?
Oh, I was like, yes, I love that song. I wonder why it was never put on this. But yeah,
which version do y'all like better?
I like the release version better.
I like the one that was recorded. I think it's the 29th of 92. I think it is.
That's the Street Angel one, right?
Yes.
And you all like the Rock Little one with like the like the keyboard?
I hate that part, but I love the song.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got potential. It may turn up. It may turn up later.
Can we all talk about Mabel Normand? Like,
love that song.
Did you ever think
crazy stream of consciousness doesn't make sense? There's no real chorus. What is it about? Crazy comedian, whatever. But hey, the music is just fantastic. It sounds very heartbreakerish to me. The guitar work.
And wouldn't you all agree
the official version, that is.
On 24 Karat Gold, like she actually nailed it and gave it like.
It's beautiful. Yes. I don't know the demo, but I love that song on 24.
The demo's a hot damn mess. Like there's just
the demo's terrible. The demo's terrible.
There's this drum machine going. The vocals are kind of similar to like what she did, but the music's like just a hot mess. Nathan, did you have something to say?
Mabel Normand. I think that to me it sounds very, very close to the original. The stream of consciousness thing isn't my favorite, but yeah, Mabel Normand.
Wasn't 1,000 Days from this era that she also re-recorded for Street Angel? The original demo's right up there with Mabel Normand and like the hot mess. I heard that song's about Prince. Has anyone else ever heard that?
Yes, it is.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I do have something on Mabel Normand. Did y'all know that the Normand family has sued her?
Yes.
Yeah. I heard about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Apparently she's not quite well. That song paints a certain picture, and I guess it's somebody help me.
The estate didn't feel like Mabel was portrayed accurately, but let's face it, would any of us have even heard of Mabel Normand if it wasn't for the Stevie Nicks song? I never would have.
I don't think
you got it.
Bad press is good press.
Yeah.
Now,
if you think about it, but if you think about the song, has nothing to do with Mabel Normand, the real person. It's about Stevie Nicks.
It's about Stevie.
Yeah.
It's how Stevie sees herself in this person too. I think she's kind of fishing.
When I saw the track list for 24 Karat Gold and I saw Mabel Normand was on it, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then when I heard it, I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
I thought the same.
Like,
I think it's like the best song off the record.
Yeah, it blew me away.
Yeah, it's the best.
And it was honestly like her worst demo, in my opinion. Just like on the hot mess scale. And then to become like the best song, if someone told me in 2010 for In Your Dreams, like Stevie gave us another chapter that I never expected. But someone's like, we're gonna have Lady from the Mountain and Mabel Normand come out in these awesome versions. I would have been like, get out of town.
No, I love Moonlight.
It wasn't Lady from the Mountain originally was it from this era or from Wild Heart?
Yeah. I don't have it written down, but I saw it earlier.
I think it is from this era.
Or maybe earlier than that.
I love that demo because it has like that guitar and that drum. She had that like little drum machine that was in all the demos from this era.
Well, she hit a lot of higher notes from the demo. I remember it was very, very Stevie, but very melodic. I know another song that came out through the demos of this time was Running Through the Garden.
Oh, that's right.
And I like that song. And the voice she had at this time would have been really great. So I was always surprised that didn't make the record.
I didn't like the Fleetwood Mac version of Running in the Garden.
What?
You liked it?
I love it. I love that song.
I think that's my least favorite on Say You Will. I'll take Illume or whatever.
Illume's fantastic.
I don't like Silver Girl.
I don't like Silver Girl.
The rhyming is
That would
so
fit on Rock
amateurish.
Yes.
In a high-tech world.
You know,
Yes.
it's just so simple rhyming with boring music to it.
Whew. You know what's crazy though is like the version of Running to the Garden isn't that far off from the demo. Really, you know what I mean? Like she kept the same vibe kind of in the Fleetwood Mac version from that 80s Rockalido demo.
Yeah, yeah.
What were some
You
other
have Stevie's voice.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, Steve?
I'd pick Silver Girl over Rock a Little.
No, I'm gonna stay with Lily.
That's an
I
interesting.
know, I'm just different. I mean, I agree with you. It's kind of silly. Like a 12-year-old kid could write it,
Right.
but I just think it sounds better than Rock a Little.
Do you know what I love is like for Sadie Will, she's like, I went to Phoenix with my tape recorder and I wrote 4 new songs. The Phoenix 4. Weren't they called the Phoenix 4? Or am I imagining things?
Something like that.
Right for parody.
Always going to Phoenix.
That place for her, and you her know how to.
I like Silver Girl. You know, I just can't. I didn't want to just bottom line this, but I like them all because there are little parts of them that float up at me and that I really love. Like the sometimes she was just an act. You know, the chorus of that is pretty good.
That is a good course.
I think
I agree.
Silver Girl versus Rock a Little is an interesting
Papers
proposition.
how she remembers. Papers that she didn't sign, somehow she remembered. That's a great line.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's really
What is that, Jim? I never heard that. What is that?
papers that she didn't sign, somehow she remembers. That's a line from Silver Girl. Papers that she didn't sign, somehow she remembers. That's just
Isn't it about Sheryl Crow?
Yeah, it's about Sheryl Crow.
what
all around that
point. But I think that's a great line. Hey.
This is off topic, but we're allowed. Destiny Rules is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Good song.
One time I was driving. I'm a musician, so I was driving from Buffalo, New York to New York City, and I had to go through the Delaware water gap. You turn this curve on the highway, and Destiny Rules started right when I turned this curve, and there's this big like water thing. It was at the moment, you know how when the music in your life are right in the same place. We're jumping ahead like many albums. Do we have any more thoughts on the Rock a Little demos before I pause this?
It was
Battle of the Dragon.
Yes, Battle of the Dragon.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's the
Top
Tom
five
Petty
song.
version with her floating around. There's different versions. The one with Tom Petty, which he's very prominently in his song.
I feel like Battle of the
Have you guys
Dragon.
heard that?
No, I've never heard it. Is it good?
It's a great song.
Yeah, they kind of answer back and forth to each other in the song.
I feel like Battle of the Dragon and Rock a Little are cut out of the same like eerie cloth, like it's the sound wise. They're just
You can't get that on Spotify either.
really.
Reconsider Me and Battle of the Dragon are not available.
I love Battle of the Dragon, especially the "You're not listening to me." Like that was really personal.
Good song.
Jim, thank you for bringing Battle of the Dragon. How could we forget that? And that's really
Would let him.
that is definitely about her drugs, right? For sure.
Yes.
and tied up in promises. Ooh, baby. Isn't
Tied Up in Promises an Olivia Newton-John song?
It is.
That's what I heard.
actually, well, she's that's what it sounds like. Physical. I think there was like a producer or something was involved that cross-pollinated, and
Tied Up was the second single from her Greatest Hits Volume 2.
Okay.
Oh.
Stevie did a worked demo with that, so
All
it
right.
sounded like Olivia stuff. So
Well, any thoughts on Rock
She
a Little?
Loves Him Still was from this time.
Oh, that's right. Mark Knopfler wouldn't let her release it because she just sang over a song from his
She
soundtrack.
stole his music, basically.
Yeah, it was an instrumental album. And she sang over it.
What song?
She Loves Him
She
Still.
Loves Him Still.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love
If you
her
look it up on
version.
if you look at the Mark Knopfler version on YouTube, if you don't have it, it's the same music.
Yeah.
That kind of Celtic sounding, instrumental part.
That's the worst part of the song.
Yeah, it's just from the Mark Knopfler, whatever it was called.
That's a shame.
The My Heart Will Go On whistle.
Yeah, it's like yuck. That's so un-Stevie.
But I love her version on 24 Karat Gold. I mean,
Yeah, the vocal's great.
she did justice to a lot of those songs, in my opinion. I know that's like 4 albums from now, but let me just put it out there that I love it. All right. Do we have any final thoughts on rock?
One more big time rock and roll star.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Undercover
Music lover.
Music Lover.
art level.
Undercover Music Lover. I don't love her like me.
I love her vocals on that.
It's so over the top.
Laura. Love it.
The first time I heard that, I was like, oh shit. Can you imagine her in the studio, like I can just picture her like really giving it her all with her hair like up to here. Steve, I'm curious. What do you feel about one more big time rock and roll star?
I loved it. If I would take off Rock a Little, I Sing for the Things, and put on Battle of the Dragon and one more big time rock and roll star, I think Rock a Little would have been a better album.
Shit, I'd take off Talk to Me for either of those songs, to be honest with you.
Yes. Thank you.
I would leave it on because it gave her a big hit. But then again, what's a hit? Like Starships, We Built a City, it went to number 1, but it's considered the worst song ever.
True, but
it is
having a
yes,
hit
it's been pulled.
Having a Talk to Me will get you to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes,
on your next tour. So you're playing. I mean, I hate to diss Lindsey Buckingham because I hate all people that diss Stevie on the thing because of their breakup. But Lindsey probably has not played. If he did his entire solo career tours, added up all the people that paid to see Lindsey Buckingham, I don't know if it's even as much as the 13 Belladonna tour dates. I mean, he plays to 500. He does. I'm sorry, he does.
Yeah,
right.
He does.
I go see him every time he comes into town. I always go see him.
I love all members of Fleetwood Mac, honestly, in every incarnation. Like I just love them all.
Well, I do too, but I'm going to say this. My theory about this last thing that, good Lord, I've never seen somebody ugly things about Stevie. I think Stevie's like, I love him, but he's kind of a dick. And I'm old, and if I want to enjoy the rest of my touring days, and I'm not going to get yelled at by him, and I'm not going to do it with him. I can play Madison Square Garden with or without y'all, and you can either have me, and I love him, and I wish him well, but I'm not going to hang out because it's just not any fun.
Sure, that's fair, honestly.
And I think for him, he's like, oh my God, I'm a great guitarist. Stevie Nicks turns in a circle, and any 18-month-old kid could do that, and everybody goes crazy for her twirling in a little slow circle, and I'm playing this great guitar solo that she could never do, but no one loves me as much. And I think I'm right. And I think that she plays down to him when they're together because she knows it bugs him when people go crazy for her. And so I think she's kind of subdued. I think she was better. Her aura was better with Mike Campbell and Neil Finn, even though I know that's not the classic lineup. And I wish they could all get along and go out as a group, but I think that jealousy, there's too much going on between those two for them ever to have a good time. They can fake it for some money, but as far as really sincerely enjoying one another's presence, it's just not going to happen.
Hey, I'm going to wrap up the episode, but then I'm going to pause it so we can keep talking because I feel like we have more to say that's off topic. All right. Thank you for tuning into Phonogenics. Jeremy Gloff on all social media. Patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff. We are all, I hope you all had enough fun to keep coming back because we got a lot more to talk about. We have the other side of the mirror. We have time, space, Street Angel. We're going through all the way to 24 Karat Gold. So I will see you all next month. Don't leave the room, everybody, though, because I'm just ending the episode.
Okay.